Three, two, one, go.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the latest edition of See You Next Thursday podcast, which you might be aware is not happening on Thursday, but hey ho, it's a promise for next week, not this week. Yeah, the giggle, the chuckle you heard was from the highest paid editor on the site, the Messiah himself, Ed001.
Oh,
Chris, how are you, buddy?
I thought for a second then we had Ed 2 on here. So I'm
Mm.
okay, mate. I'm just waiting for you to showcase your genius that I've been hearing all about.
Wait, hang on a minute. I just received a text from Ed2 saying lions don't compare to humans.
Oh,
That's why you're the Messiah because he just doesn't compare with us.
good point. That's probably a very fair point. Right. So we got what we talking about today then? Think we should let people
I
know.
don't know. I don't think there's anything happening in the football world right now. Nothing, like
I certainly don't know of anything.
nothing at all. I don't know what's
Maybe we
happening.
should
No
do
games about.
a cricket podcast.
Oh, maybe yeah. Or maybe we could talk about the speed chase championship because nothing's happening. Like I don't know. No
Yeah.
news at all.
Even Gianni Infantino couldn't find anything good to say, could he, about football at the moment?
Yeah, I don't know. Like he was saying something about the best. I don't know World Cup or whatever. I don't know what tea he had. Somebody gave him the best tea, I think, in a cup.
Yeah, maybe Qatar is. Oh no, they're not liberal. I was going to say maybe they're liberal with their drug laws, but I've just realised it's Qatar. They're not liberal with their drug laws at all, so we can't be high.
But maybe
Fine. Then
he's
again, it depends on how big the brown envelope is. I'd be fucking high if I'd be given a big brown envelope stuffed with cash as well.
yeah, maybe he's just high on the green instead of the white powders.
Yeah, Christ, yeah. He must spend his life high as a kite on that. Big fat
So
envelopes.
yeah, so anyways, let's stop messing about. The football World Cup final is taking place in 2 days' time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
It's yeah, it's the new superstar against the phasing out in quotation marks. Good. Mbappe versus Messi. So what's your
Oh right,
take?
I wasn't sure you were talking about Carvajal. Because obviously I thought you might have meant Enzo versus. So I was trying to think who could be fading out from France. Maybe Hugo Lloris.
Griezmann.
Yeah.
Oh no, better yet, it's actually Olivier Giroud.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Giroud is the goat that's being phased out. That's phasing out, and Mbappe is the heir apparent.
Well, I think he's more of a goat than Messi will ever be, in my opinion. But there you go. I know people rave about Messi, and yes, he's better than Giroud before anybody jumps in, but I just don't think he's a GOAT at all, or even close to
But just a side note, remind me to talk about Messi after we're done with the podcast.
it. Because you'll never get away. Drug cheating little shit. No, but Messi's alright, you know. I'm just kidding. Yeah,
No. Okay, I'm just gonna ask you this straight up now. Where does he actually rank in your list of the goats? Because unlike most of the internet users these days, you're fairly you're just about 2 years older. Not a lot, it's 2 years older, but you've been around the bush a bit more. You've seen more players, you've seen more eras.
do you know what? I don't think he'd even make my top 10, to be honest. Neither him nor Ronaldo. Just
Well,
people like
that's a list.
Cruyff,
That's a
Pele.
list.
I mean, Maradona would be top that I've seen. But then you've got George Best. Um, I mean, having known George Best, I've had a few nights with George Best where I've been trying to stop him drinking. Like, he's a lovely guy. So I like, so I have got a soft spot for him, even though he played for Man United. You know what I mean? But so like he'd definitely be in there for me. Um, who else? Right, sorry.
Pele.
Pele, Maradona, are obviously in there. George Best, Johan Cruyff. Um,
But that's still 6 more names you
I
need
mean,
to
I haven't
figure
even
out.
got. Oh yeah, but I haven't
Uh,
even mentioned people like Eusebio. I'd have ahead of it. Um, half the Hungarian team from the Magical Magyars.
yeah,
I mean,
Puskás.
there's so many Brazilians, Jorginho, people like that I'd have ahead of Messi. They could do what Messi does with the ball, but they were doing it under actual tackles rather than just like fannying about where every time anybody breathes on him he gets a free kick. You know what I mean? They were getting properly kicked. I mean, you look at the challenges Maradona took. If Messi was taking them, he'd never be able to stand it. And the same with Mbappe for that matter, because he's not much better, is he, in that respect? He does like to make a meal of challenges sometimes too. They're all, and they weren't on these Bowling Green pitches either. Which means that, like, to dribble past a player on a pitch that they were on is much harder than on a bowling green, because it's so much easier to keep the ball under control when you're on a lovely flat surface.
Okay, recently I was watching a clip of Gary Lineker with, I don't know who else it was, but they were analyzing the goal. They were just looking at the goal, that goal against England, not the hand of God, the other one.
That's a
Like
thing
after,
of beauty.
like after saying like there should have been, there would have been a foul in this at the beginning of the play and everything. Like one thing Gary Lineker pointed out is the ball actually never glides on the surface; it's always bubbling up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But Maradona keeps that constantly under control. I've seen Messi play on a bad pitch. I've watched him play when I was in Spain. Barcelona were playing somebody, and it was televised. I don't know whether, I can't remember. It was a cup game of some kind. I can't remember whether it was a proper cup or just like a friendly competition thing. But it was on a really bad pitch. You know what I mean? It was away. They were away, Barcelona, to this a team I'd never heard of, and the pitch was hideous, and he was awful, absolutely abysmal. He couldn't keep control of the ball to save his life. It was bobbling around all over the place, and he kept miscontrolling it and that. And he couldn't put a pass off, and that went for the whole Barca team. To be fair, it wasn't just him, but they just, they haven't got the ability to do it because they haven't learned.
Yeah, that's just a reflection of the time, though, right?
Yeah, it's not their
I'm not.
fault.
I'm not gonna stand it. Yeah, I'm not gonna stand there and say like if Messi was born 30 years earlier, he would be a nobody.
Oh,
Maybe
he might have been.
maybe if he'd spent,
Well, no,
yeah,
he
maybe
wouldn't
if
have been.
he'd spent his, no, I'm just saying maybe if he'd spent
Hang
all
on.
his life playing in those horrible pitches, maybe
Yeah, but
he'd be.
if he'd have been born 30 years earlier, he'd have never been a professional athlete because he wouldn't have had HGH to take.
Oh, we will talk about it after.
Yeah, but just, you've got to say he wouldn't have been, because in the past they wouldn't have been able to drug cheat him that way to get him to be a professional athlete. So, just wouldn't have been allowed.
But
But
he
you watch
had,
players. Have you seen Garincha? Have you ever seen footage of Garincha? Is it Garincha, the
yeah,
little bird?
maybe, yeah, maybe one or two clips, but not
Oh,
too
mate,
much.
watch him. He is. I mean, some of his stuff is just insane. I've only seen little bits of him, but it's just, when you just watch it, you think that's just, he's just special. I don't think there is a lot, to be honest. So I might have seen all of him, but
No, I'll just say like I've just grown up in this era, the Messi Ronaldo era.
hmm.
Just a little bit of the Phenom Ronaldo R9 and then this Messi Ronaldo era.
See, I'd have Ronaldo
So
above
I
them
no,
people as well.
I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but with everything taken into consideration, the longevity, the
Yeah.
effectiveness, fitness record, everything taken into consideration, Messi probably comes in this debate. Like the best player since 2000.
Yeah, since 2000. Yeah, I can go with that, which is a different era from all the rest. So, but yeah, this is the problem. I think the problem is that it is different eras, isn't it? You can't read. They're not. You're comparing apples and oranges. They play on different pitches. They play against different opposite. Different ways of playing. The game's more tactical. It's changed, so the freedom isn't there to play the way Best played, for instance.
Yeah, but also like you pointed out, tacklings, tackles they're different.
Mm.
What would have been just to be nothing back in the day would get a red right now.
Oh yeah.
The play acting is different as well. That's another side to the game. You wouldn't see players rolling around, conning refs into getting free kicks back in the day.
No, that's true. You just couldn't. It was all about pretending you weren't hurt back then.
Yeah, and I've seen a few clips of George Best,
Oh, he was
and
so good.
I've read, heard, watched videos of his extracurricular activities.
I can tell you more about that, but that'll have to be after the pod.
That yeah, it's retro.
About some personal
If you're watching it from from afar, like okay, you just can't help but marvel at what he managed to do with what he usually used to do. So
Wow,
that's just amazing.
he was amazing. I mean, even Pele called him the best, didn't he?
Yeah, aptly named.
Yes. Can't really argue with that at all, to be honest.
But I think only Messi is the one playing in the World Cup final.
Yeah,
And not,
and to be honest, right now,
none
though,
of the other guys you mentioned.
right now, he is not the best player in the world, though, is he? Let's be honest, he hasn't been for a few years.
I'd say okay.
Since
After
before he left
2018,
Barcelona.
I think after the 2018 World Cup, he's hardly been the best player for maybe 1 year. And I'm just saying 1 year maybe because it's like just even speaking strictly from the awards that he got, like 18 Modric won the Ballon d'Or
Hmm.
because it was quite clear that Messi wasn't the best player.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have won it in the year, the
Yeah,
lockdown year.
COVID year. Yeah,
That would have been
The COVID
Lewandowski.
cancelled the
Clearly
year.
was miles ahead of anyone else. Or well, actually, that's not true. He wasn't miles ahead of anyone else. That's ridiculous.
No, but
Van
it was
Dijk
like it
and
was gonna be.
a few others were.
No, but it was Lewandowski who would have been the rightful winner. I'm sure even you would have said, okay, fair enough, you won.
Oh yeah, no, I think everyone knows that he should have won it, and that's why they cancelled it because it wasn't going to be Messi or Ronaldo.
So yeah, so it just wasn't gonna be big enough.
Yeah.
I guess in between Messi might have won it, and I think even that year it should have been Leva or Van Dijk.
Hmm.
It would have been like it should have been either Leva or Van Dijk, but Messi won it, so that's up for debate already. And then what Benzema? I think that's about
Yeah,
it.
I can see why it was Benzema, but
No, but no, we're not saying whether the right person won it or not. I was just saying
it was definitely better than Messi that season. So yeah, he hasn't been the best for a while, but that doesn't mean he's not still to be fair to him, much as I'm not a big fan of him as a person at all, can't stand him, and his greed, but he has been a great player. Do you think there is any truth in the theory that FIFA have been helping him because they want him to be in the final at least, maybe even want him to win it? Because
no,
obviously it's
no,
bigger for better for them if someone like Messi gets his final tournament, because he said it's his final tournament.
Yeah, but it's if you're gonna, let's say, rig the tournament to get the biggest storyline going, then there is no bigger storyline than Messi versus Ronaldo.
Yeah.
If they were gonna fix it, then why would they fix
Well, because
Portugal,
Ronaldo wasn't even in
Portugal
the
to
team, was
get
he?
out from Ronaldo. No, but why would they fix Portugal to go get knocked out by Morocco?
Well,
Come
they
on.
didn't, did they? Well, that's the whole point. Is that Ronaldo wasn't even playing, so they couldn't outfit, they couldn't protect Ronaldo the way they've been protecting Messi, according to what the
Yeah,
conspiracy
this is
theory I'm saying.
conspiracy theories. Like,
It's
no, I'm
difficult to
just saying,
help. You can't really
my
help
opinion.
Ronaldo if
Yeah,
he's not in the team.
but come on, you could have helped Portugal. Ronaldo
Yeah, but
coming off
you
the bench.
say it's the
Listen,
biggest
listen.
story, but
No,
it's not,
listen.
is it?
It is
How is
because
it a big
just
story?
imagine, just
Ronaldo's
imagine,
past it. He's been kicked out of Man United during a tournament. He's been dropped by Portugal. It wouldn't have been a story to get him there because he wouldn't have played.
no, but you're not
The
listening. I'm
biggest
just saying,
story
just imagine.
is right now putting him up against the guy who's coming in, who looks like being his replacement as as the long-term best player in the world, like he's been, and their teammates.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is just imagine Morocco were beating Portugal, right? Then
Hmm.
Ronaldo came on.
Yeah, but he didn't.
If he no, I'm saying if
But,
FIFA
yeah, but
like the
he's got to get a
conspiracy
chance
theorists are
to
saying.
score, and he's got to put it in. You know what I mean? It's they can't. They can only do so much. They can't just create. True.
Oh come on, he had enough time, and from what I read, be honest, you didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. From what I read, Ronaldo didn't have a good enough chance to actually tie the game up.
Exactly, and he failed. So what more can they do? What are they going to do? Say, well, we'll have to replay that bit because he missed.
No, but I'm just saying, had he actually led Portugal to the victory, maybe scored, maybe
Yeah,
just
maybe they'd have backed him
just
over.
whatever,
Maybe they would have
still
been backing him over
they could have got
Fabregas.
it.
But I don't think it's that big a story because I think he's well past his best and everybody knows it.
Not everybody knows it, Chris.
Really? I'm sure that
Yeah,
I can't think of
World Cup is
anybody who
no,
still
no.
thinks
Listen,
Ronaldo's any good. He's been gone for years. When he went to Juve, the year before, he was looking leggy. He went to Juve, he spent. When he was there, he was abysmal. And he was worse for Man United the following year.
he was
Even though he was great, he
no,
was
he was
scoring the
decent.
goals, but he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
still
he was
awful.
decent. Yeah, he was decent in isolation when you just look at his goal numbers last season.
Yeah,
That
but
that
his
must
actual
I'll
play
give
I'm
him.
talking about.
No,
And
but
the
World
amount
Cup
of
isn't for
chances
us.
he ruined for the
You have
rest
to
of the
remember
team.
this. World Cup isn't for the guys like us and the people that post on our forums. It's for those people who only watch football every
Yeah,
4 years.
true,
And
true.
for those guys, Messi and Ronaldo is still the biggest narrative.
I don't know because Mbappe's the big. So I think if maybe if he'd have done the job and got them, and actually scored, maybe they would have got him through over. If the conspiracy theory is right, obviously we're talking about conspiracy theory here. We're not talking about like a genuine what we believe. Yeah, maybe they would have been. Maybe they would have preferred Ronaldo there, but like they can only do so much without actually making it clear they're match fixing.
No, but it's very easy to make sure Ronaldo scores. Just award Portugal a penalty.
But they've got to get in the box.
Yeah, whatever. The main
No,
issue is neither you nor me actually believes in the theories
no, no.
floating around. So
Well, no,
there is no point.
I do think they protect Messi. Every time you watch a referee, when
No, but in
he's
general,
working with Messi, they.
the bigger names and the bigger teams always end up getting the rub of
Hmm.
the green.
Oh yeah, but in particular, for some
Happens every
reason,
time.
and they always say he doesn't dive. It's the thing. This is the story you hear in the punditry and that, and he's one of the worst divers I've ever seen. He's always bloody diving. I don't understand where this story's come from in pundits that he doesn't dive. It's probably one of those things where they're instructed to say it. Because as
No
I
way,
know
come on. Now that
100%
is
when
one
you.
thing I'm not gonna list Messi of. Of many other things, I wouldn't necessarily call him a diving
Oh, he does dive.
cheat like your Neymar's.
Oh, he's not as bad as Neymar, but that's like a different level. Where Neymar's like Grealish and them others, where it doesn't even matter if the ball's anywhere near him
Come
or
on,
anyone.
even Grealish is a level below Neymar. Come on, it's not just the diving; it's the rolling around that does my head in. With
Yeah,
Neymar.
Neymar's horrible.
And if I'm being honest, half the time I not half 99.9% of the time I agree with the kicking he gets.
Oh, I think happily there's a few players out there that you just think if they get kicked, they deserve it. And Neymar's one of them. In fact, he's top of the list. The ones that if he gets kicked, so what? Kick him again. That's what I'd be saying. I could never make a ref. Because I'd be saying, you didn't fucking kick him hard enough. Do it properly next time. Is
No,
he still walking? Do it again.
You will book the perpetrator for taking it too soft.
Yeah.
You were not hard enough.
Has he broken anything? No. Right, Buchan, you didn't kick him hard enough. Next time, do it right.
Yeah, and if the player has to be taken off injured, you're gonna send him off for not actually having the balls to just run it off. Rub some dirt on him, come on.
I'm old school, you're right. Yeah, stop play acting, you wuss. There's nothing broken. Guys, we used to get told. My mum would have given me a slap for going on if I'd have gone rolling round on the floor pretending to be hurt.
No, but the floors we had, the pitches we used weren't meant for rolling around.
Well, we used to slide tackle on cobblestones and that, you know what I mean, on gravel and stuff, where you'd slice your legs open, but so what? You know, you got the ball, that was all that mattered. Especially if you got the man as well, that was just a bonus. That wasn't a foul.
Yeah, there'd be less grass on the pitch than there'd be hair on Steve Harvey's head.
Yeah. Our friend sent me a video of him doing the Family Feud thing, and it was the what do you most want to ask your girlfriend to do to your face? And the first guy just said, "Sit on it." It's like, it wasn't even top though. Can you believe? I couldn't even think of five. They had like 6 things in the list, and I'm thinking I couldn't even think of 5 of the things. I could only think of one, and that would be it.
This shows where your maturity lies.
That's not immature. That's very grown up, mate. That's grown up things that you would know about. So anyway, we haven't actually discussed the final. Do we think France and Argentina deserve to get there first off?
Why are you asking me and why am I asking
Well, we're
you?
supposed to have Billy here to do this. This is the thing. This is supposed to be for Billy to talk about, really. It's been a bit of a... But he's just decided to ghost us.
Okay, I can tell you what the general consensus was leading into games. Like, Argentina have been decent but not completely convincing. France have been one of the more solid performers. Not the best team, not the best to watch necessarily, but one of the more consistent teams. Portugal were also said to be very consistent with the play until they met Morocco. Morocco are supposedly the best defensive
I take it you haven't read the BBC
tournament.
site then, because they just seem to think Messi's the greatest thing in the world ever, and it's all his World Cup, and he's been the greatest thing in the world ever, and he's better than Pele now and all that because of how brilliant he's been here and all that. So all you seem to read about is Messi, Messi, Messi. It's like,
Yeah, but even then, the thing is, Messi has dragged Argentina into the final. That's the narrative. It's
Yeah.
not like Argentina have played their way into the final.
Yeah,
Croatia were.
but it's
I-
not fair.
but
It's not fair because
Hang on a minute. Just as
haven't
a
Argentina got a
message.
good side?
No wait. I have to just throw it out right now because I'm surely gonna forget to mention it before. Like I heard somewhere that Croatia haven't actually won a single knockout tie inside the 90 minutes since 1998 or something like that. And they've been doing
1919. I think that might
no
be on a bit far back.
1998.
Yeah.
98.
Oh, 98. Okay. Yeah, maybe. So I know they haven't won any, but they got to the final last time, didn't they, without winning any? So
Yeah, like that's still quite an amazing. It's a single knockout game inside 90 minutes. I
it's no
thought
wonder
that's
they can't win it though, because their legs must have gone by the end of it. There's not much time to rest in this one, which I find a bit strange. They could have easily had a couple, a day extra here and there to allow players a rest.
if anybody is complaining, they can just rub the sand a little bit and it's gonna be fine. Rub some dirt on it. That's what you're gonna learn from this podcast. If you have any injury, any problem, anything, just rub some dirt on it.
Rub some dirt in it, or do what my mum used to do and just run on and belt you. You'll soon get it.
Yeah, or just grow up here. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Case you couldn't be injured of it around, I tell you.
Yeah, well, Brazil, and as I was going through the teams, Brazil were the dog's bollocks until they were up.
Do you think
So I don't know.
the early loss might have helped Argentina? The early, because they lost that first game badly, didn't they?
I don't know badly, but must have been
No, I
quite a
mean badly as
humiliation.
in like it was a bad defeat rather than it was a bad
Yeah,
performance. I
yeah,
mean,
it must have jolted everybody up. Like, hang on a minute,
yeah, we need to.
we're not as good as we thought we were. Maybe that might have happened. And if it didn't happen, then what was the point? Because it should have happened as well. It should have been the natural response.
Hmm.
They they have a decent side, but I don't even think it's a functional team to be honest. Just looking at the paper, and that's what we do. We don't look at the games. We don't watch them. We just watch the lineup, score lines.
It's a, it costs the same as a month's groceries for me to pay for that.
I'm just sad that neither Enzo nor Lisandro have played enough for my liking.
I'm surprised Lissandro hasn't played a lot. It's the kind of tournament that's perfect for a player like him.
Yeah, but I did tell him. Well then, I'm not even. But I did say that both Romero and Martinez are a bit similar with his style of play.
Mm.
But then again, Otamendi isn't much of a reserved guy either.
No, Otamendi's not one I'd have picked. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
But
he's
then
a front foot
France have been odd.
defender as well.
They've been picking Varane and Upamecano.
Upamecano.
Why would anyone pick Upamecano? I mean, I'm not Varane.
Try and say
Not
his name. Come on,
particularly
try and say his name again.
Upamecano. I fucking forget it. Yeah. Oh. Yeah,
It's
him.
like
Yeah, he's
not,
awful.
not only is he awful, you've got better options. Not only like okay, let's say you can have
Canate
an
and
opinion.
Saliba, two of the
Yeah, you
best.
can have an opinion. You can have an opinion, and that says Upamecano is no good. Deschamps can have an opinion that says Upamecano is a very good player. It
But
doesn't
every
matter
time
who
he's
is
not
right.
played, France
Just
have
let
looked
me say,
better.
come on. Yeah, just let me finish. Both of you would be entitled to your opinion. It doesn't matter who is right or wrong. But the fact of the matter is, Upamecano has come into the tournament horribly out of form, almost, almost losing his place in the club side as well at Bayern. Whereas Saliba, he's coming into the team as possibly the best centre back in Premier League,
Oh, he's
playing
been
every minute,
brilliant.
playing virtually every minute for Arsenal in the league and everything. And the most relevant part that Tezos might have cited would be like, this guy has been with me for however many years and whatever, but neither are that experienced in the international scene as well.
Mm. I do not understand how Saliba's not. I mean, he's been picking Kanate over him when he's out, when Thingy's out. And don't get me wrong, I like Kanate a lot. I think he's a very good player. But
But
Saliba's a
he,
different level. He's like, he's
yeah,
incredible
just like
player.
I
And
said,
Kanate's been
Konate is
injured a
coming
lot.
off injury.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
coming off
coming off
injury.
injury. Another guy is coming off a stellar start to the season. And it's not just the start to this season. He was brilliant last season as well. And he was brilliant back end of the season before that on loan at Nice.
Exactly, and the season before that on loan. He's been brilliant for about 4 or 5 years now. He's been standout performer in his team year on year since the year before Arsenal bought him. So what's that? 4 seasons now. It's
Must
it's
be at least.
it's astonishing that he's not first choice. He should be. It should be him and an other. That's what it should be. It should be pick him. Who do you play alongside him? That should be what Deschamps should be doing with the defence. And yet he's not even third choice. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And they've got, to me, I think France have got where they've got despite or in spite of Deschamps rather than because of him.
Well,
And
I've
I
been
think
saying
that could,
Deschamps is no
yeah,
good for about what,
yeah, you've
eight
been saying
years,
it for years.
minimum 8 years. I
Yeah, I
think
haven't
it's
really seen a lot
what
of him
24 years.
before, so I didn't know. But I don't rate him at all. Every time I see them, I just think they're brilliant, but not because of him. It just seems like he's doing his best to give the others a chance rather than. And I think that might be the difference in the final, if there is one, between the two, is that Argentina's coach will do his best to put out the best side. He will do his best to put out a team to win it, whereas Deschamps seems like he's putting out a team not to lose. First and foremost. Bit
Yeah,
like,
but still, like, before going too much into Deschamps, which I love to tear him apart anyways. But France getting to the final is a big achievement when you look at the players they're missing.
oh yeah, with the players they miss, but even so, you still
My
look at their
God!
squad, they're astonishingly strong
Yeah,
still.
that's the issue. That's the thing. Like, they're missing like some of the most important players, some of the best players, and yet they still have a very, very strong squad. Arguably the strongest squad into coming into the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, when you're missing, I mean, a lot of them pulled out like at the last minute as well. It says it all that they've had to put Griezmann into midfield to get through, but it also says a lot about the level of competition at the international football that Griezmann can do so well in midfield in in what is basically a role where he's required to defend quite a bit.
Yeah, just like off the top of my head, the Ballon d'Or winner, current Ballon d'Or winner, Benzema,
Yeah,
pulled out right at the eve of the tournament.
that's what I mean. It's like
Christophe,
they
yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
have time
Christophe
to plan.
Nkunku,
Oh yeah,
Christophe Nkunku. About 2 3 days before
Kante.
Benzema pulled, yeah, Conte, like whatever we say, like Pogba as
Pogba,
well,
yeah.
a very influential player. They missed Presnel Kimpembe as well.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
was,
you could almost put a good 11 together out of the players they're missing.
yeah, and their best goalkeeper, I don't care what anyone else
Yeah, I'm
says,
with you
is
on that.
not at the tournament. Mike Maignan, he's out injured.
Yeah,
Like, you have a very strong spine missing, and there's other players that I'm sure I'm missing. This is off the top of my head, like 6 players who you would probably be seeing in the first team 11.
well, they'd certainly be in the. You'd certainly argue that they'd be in it. There wouldn't be like a definite. They're not going to make the top six, but you'd have to say Kante strolls into any team in the world.
Now,
So
Conte would, and
100%.
a
Benzema
fit in from Conte, yes. Benzema, yes, he was playing.
and Kunku
He was playing.
definitely would have
And
got in there.
Nkunku, yeah, Nkunku was likely going to be ahead of Griezmann in the pecking order, so he would have probably started. Maignan, I'm not sure because Hugo Lloris was the captain, so He
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be starting. Pogba, regardless of whether we like him or not, he would have made the team as well, especially with Kante alongside him.
Yeah. Yeah, they work well together. They're a good combination.
Yeah,
They're
and
well practiced. They're used to each other.
Kimpembe is a left-footed centre back to start with, so he'll already be in with a shot. So many good players, so many starting players they're missing, and yet they're going into the final as the favourites for me.
Yeah, it's shocking how strong they are. With all them out, it's incredible they can still put out a team. I can't imagine anybody else would. And you have to put that in
Oh, and they
context.
also had who, Luca Hernandez. He went out injured
Yep.
within the first half of the first game, if I recall. He was starting for them in the first game as well, and he went off injured.
Yeah, they
Another
really,
guy, yeah, another important member.
they really have been hit hard.
Yeah, but
It's
I I I personally feel it's a blessing in disguise for them because I think it's just focused the team
possibly, yeah,
right
you're right
around
there.
Mbappe. Yeah, because if you had Pogba on the field, if you had Nkunku on the field, if you had Benzema on the field, and let's say Chouameni is in possession of the ball around the center spot, everybody would be demanding the ball, as would Mbappe as well. But now the whole team can work around getting the best out of Mbappe, which would, I think, get the best out of the whole team as well.
Yeah, because he is a class apart.
And sometimes having too many options is also detrimental to the team. Like we see with Bruno Fernandes as well. Brilliant when he's not playing with Ronaldo, hopeless when he's playing with Ronaldo.
To be fair, I think that must be quite difficult to play with Ronaldo these days.
But I'm just saying, if you have one center that is easier to control. If you have five center pieces, then you don't have the side pieces, and the puzzle is incomplete. So who do you want to win the final, anyways? Because I don't think we can be talking about this thing for another two
Has to be
hours.
France. Because I
Your
don't know.
disdain for Messi is so
Actually, it's
apparent.
more because Mbappe comes from a Liverpool supporting family. And Canate plays for France. So there's one Liverpool player there that will get to win the trophy. Whereas if Argentina win it, there's nobody in their squad.
I know it wouldn't necessarily count the same for both guys, but regardless of the result, Manchester United are gonna have the World Cup winning centre back. Either
Yeah,
Varane or Lisandro Martinez.
yeah. Even if he doesn't play, he's still in the squad.
Hey, it counts. Oh, it counts.
That
And
counts.
he
Yeah,
has
I know.
actually played. He has actually played as well. Like, it's not like he's never touched turf either.
No, it's not like he's got in the squad, which is more than most people could say.
And he's played. He started at least one game. I'm pretty sure. Did Lisandro?
Mm. Well, I've said I like him as a player. I think he's really good.
I think he's one of those players who you would love to have him in your side, but you'd find him
Yes, exactly.
unlikable if he's your opposition.
Well, I like players like that as a personal thing. So depends on how nasty they could be. Some of them they can be nasty to the point where they're just hateful. But like Pepe and people like and Sergio Ramos, but I don't think he's quite that level.
And until now, he's not done something stupid enough to actually cost us straight up. Yet. Hopefully that doesn't change anytime soon.
I don't think he's that. I don't think. I think it's just because he looks worse than he actually is because of the era we're in. I don't think you'd be saying he's a bit of a shithouse. Yeah, he does shithousery, but it's not at the level like if he was in the Man City side, he'd be one of their nicer players. You know what I mean? That's the way they play.
He's no Fernandinho, is what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, he's not. He's not Fernando. He's not Rodri or. In fact, you could literally name any of their players. They're all prone to it.
Ruben Diaz,
Yeah, they all know how to. They all know how to get away with cheating.
manipulate.
Well, I'm not sure they do know how to get away with it. They just do it, and the referee just seems to doesn't seem to give any decisions against them, which I find bizarre. It's a bit like the days when Fergie was running the FA.
Oh, come on. That's just the bit of Liverpool supporters hating on the city of Manchester.
No, that's not true. Plenty of referees have come out since they've retired or he's retired. When he's retired and they've retired, and admitted that they used to be scared to give decisions against Man United because they knew they'd be harangued in the dressing room afterwards.
Yeah, but because they just lack the cojones to take on
Exactly.
Fergie. Come on.
They're just cowards. That's why
They just didn't.
they shouldn't
They
have
should
been
have just
doing the job.
grown up there.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been doing the job. Oh no, I'm not blaming Fergie. I blame them for it. But
Yeah, exactly. Like if you can get away with it, you have to do it.
football needs to help these officials by actually behaving better. The one that annoys me though is people will then say, "Look at rugby. They don't answer back, but they're freaking cheats. They're really bad cheats. I mean, look at them cutting themselves with the razor blades and stuff like that to get free. To get people sent off and stuff. They're just as bad in any sport."
Well, once you mentioned rugby, you just lost me.
Hmm?
You have to do. When you mentioned rugby, you just lost me because
Oh, I'm just saying that people who
I have
yeah,
no
no, but
clue
what I'm
at
saying
all.
is we always hear on the sites, people always say we should take a leaf out of rugby's book and, that the players should act with more decorum and all that and stop trying to cheat the officials on the only thing that you should be taking from rugby is the back chat thing because the referees are mic'd up there so they can hear exactly what's said and players aren't allowed to back chat. If they get back chat, they're immediately off. You know what I mean? There's no messing about. There's no discussion about it. They're in trouble straight away. There's no messing around. Whereas in football, they can swear and shout and scream at a referee, and he does nothing. And that, to me, is the fault of the referees. Because the minute they start clamping down on it, it stops.
Yeah,
You book a few
that can
players
be
for
dealt
it.
with. Yeah, I
You book a
agree.
few players
Within a
for it,
month.
it stops.
Yeah, within a month it would
Yeah,
come down to the minimum.
yeah. As soon as they know that they're going to get booked for it, they stop doing it.
And if they do it, they're gonna cost the team.
Exactly.
Whatever.
And so their manager would soon tell them not to do it. And when the manager tells them, they act on it. Because let's face it, we all know the instructions come from the managers to dive and cheat and harangue them.
Even if they don't tell the players to do it, if you're not telling them to stop doing it, then you're part of the problem as well.
Yeah.
If your player is known to be a diver, you either have to tell him to stop doing that, cut it out, or soon enough you're gonna be labeled with being the guy that's encouraging it. Whether you actively do it or passively do it, you are encouraging it if you turn a blind eye to it. And yet again, we moved away from the World Cup
I've
final.
forgotten, yeah, what was the subject?
Bloody hell!
You're supposed to be chairing it today, so it's your fault. You're getting the blame for this.
Oh, so whatever. We both prefer France to win the World Cup.
I'd prefer France, but I've said why. It's not because of Messi so much as that I like my Mbappe, and I think he's been given so much bad press and all that lately for no reason other than the fact that he's just being a target, and I don't understand why, because he lives his life the right way. His contract says he can't advertise things like alcohol. He can't advertise betting. He won't
betting.
advertise junk food, and that's written into his contract. So that's why That's why he wasn't in the photo shoot with the French team. And they had to admit that they're sorry because it's in his contract, you know what I mean? And they should have realised it. So if you notice, when they're doing the Man of the Match awards at the end of each World Cup game, he won 2 of them, and both times he was in front of totally different advertising hoardings from the ones the likes, when Messi won them and Lewandowski and that won theirs. They're stood in front of one saying Budweiser. He's not. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's because Mbappe wants special treatment. He can't be treated
And that's
same
exactly how
as
it's
the
always
other players.
spun.
He's too arrogant.
Yeah, it's not because he wants to do the right thing and he's trying to be a good, trying to present a good image for kids that might look up to him or anything. No, it's because he's arrogant. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly how it is always presented in the media, and that's why I'd like him to win it, and I'd like him to go on to be the best player in the world for a long time, because he's obviously a decent lad who's trying to do the right thing and just keeps getting shat on. I mean, nobody complained when Messi was earning £1 million a week. €1 million, sorry, a week. Nobody said anything. Nobody complained.
No, no. It is £1 million a week because it was 1.2 million euros.
Yeah, okay, so I was right first off. Sorry, I didn't. Okay, so nobody complained when Messi was earning £1 million a week. Nobody complained. Nobody talked about him greedy, even though he's taken up offers to be Saudi tourism ambassador and all this kind of thing. You don't read in the newspapers how greedy he is, but Mbappe takes a contract that's less than that a few years later, when there's more money in the game, from a company, from a club that's got a lot more money to pay him. Yeah? And we hear how greedy he is, even though he turned down Real Madrid, who were offering him more. How is that? Yeah. How does this work?
If he's great, he rejected a bigger contract, a bigger signing on at Real Madrid to stay at Paris. Yeah, well, I'm not the biggest fan of Paris Saint-Germain.
No, but it's it's his home, so you can see why he chose it.
Yeah, and the other thing, when he just briefly mentions the Saudi tourism thing with Messi, people complain about the human rights records of Saudi Arabia. They complain that they shouldn't be allowed to own teams, own sports teams, sports washing and whatever, yada yada yada. And then they say there is nothing wrong with Messi. He's the greatest person ever.
Exactly, and he's such a nice, humble lad.
Completely, yeah. Yeah, he's a very good guy. How can anybody hate him? Completely forgetting the fact that Messi is the tourism ambassador for Saudi Arabia, which means that he should be, in theory at least, there's still time so things can change. As things stands, Messi would be the guy endorsing the World Cup to be hosted by Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And the bigger issue would be against a bid that is likely going to come from Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile, I think.
Exactly. And there's plenty of that company that laid off a load of people so they could pay in.
Byju's.
To advertise. Who's that?
Yeah, Byju's.
Yeah,
that's the team.
That's it. Yeah, in India, their company, they laid off loads of people and then paid him a huge sum to advertise them. You're like, he should be looking at that saying, you know what, I think that's probably one I should steer clear of, because that's a bit dodgy for my image. But nobody even mentions it. Christ, can you imagine if Mbappe took that deal? It would be he would be slaughtered. It's just strange how certain players get more grief than others.
Mbappe is this era's Cristiano Ronaldo. Even the good things he does just get spun around to be the bad things.
Yeah, they just get twisted because somehow Messi's the golden boy for some reason.
But before we actually get into the World Cup final, there's going to be a third place playoff. My first question is, does it matter? Should it happen? Does anybody care?
Well, outside of Morocco and Croatia, I'm not sure anybody does, and it'll probably be very few people watching it. But those two countries, I mean, it makes a huge difference to them. And it can for
No,
the,
but
it can for the. This is the thing. Is the thing with it is what it's more important for is the future of those countries' footballing, footballing teams going forward. Not because they've coming third might not seem, but it gets more interest in the game within the country to get more kids playing, so it can make a huge difference to their future.
yeah, but that's because of the who are playing the game. It's not
Yeah,
because of the significance of the game. Let's say it was Portugal versus England or Brazil
yeah.
versus Germany. Would that matter at all? Because
I think it would in
coming
Portugal
third,
because they still haven't won the World Cup, but I think for England it's seen as failure because they've won a World Cup and they see a World Cup as the aim. Like the same with Germany. I think third for them would be seen as not winning rather than coming third, if you see what I mean. And I think that's the problem is it does depend. Teams like that have won it once have a totally different expectation level. And they see anything other than winning it next time. Like if Argentina don't win, this tournament will have been a failure for them. Same with France. If they don't win, this tournament will be seen as a failure in the country. Even though they got to the final, and you could say, like we said, we've listed all the players France are missing. It's almost a miracle that they're still competitive, let alone getting into the final. But it's still, nobody will remember that. People will just remember they didn't win it. And I think that's the problem, especially I think in England in particular, because the arrogance of the English, they think they deserve to win it. And I say that as an Englishman, partly English.
you're not really English. You're part Scouser and a part Wales guy. Come on.
And Scottish and Irish. Yeah, I know, but still.
Hey, ho, there's only one Irish guy on this podcast, and that's not you. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say, top of the morning. Top of the morning,
Oh,
Wes. Top of the morning.
Seamus. Seamus, you let us down. That'll be why we got no viewers, you see. Basil won't watch it now. He won't even listen to this now. You've let him down. He only listens
Yeah,
for
top
that
of the
bit.
morning, lads. Top of the morning.
Mind, now you've said it part way through, we'll just tell him he'll have to listen out for it. And I know Rob won't be listening to it because he's gutted that you're replacing him. He
Oh,
cries
we're
himself
live.
to sleep every night.
No, you're not gonna mention anything. You're live. We're live, bro.
I'm not going to say any more than that. I'm just saying he's being replaced. So he's no longer got your full affection, has he? So bless him. He's still upset
Well,
about that.
Rob hasn't been on for so many episodes now that it's a case of out of sight and out of mind.
Yeah, you've moved on. He's no longer the queen of your heart, is he? Bless him. I don't know how he'll cope. Poor bugger. Heartbroken. So anyway, third, fourth place playoff. Sorry, I've just realised what we were talking about. Yeah, I think it makes a huge difference to Croatia and Morocco in particular. Morocco, they win
Yeah,
it.
but
It's a
it's
huge
because of
thing.
the home.
Yeah,
Mm,
and I think that's what makes it important is that it is those two teams in it. I think if it had been Argentina and France, if it had been the other two teams gone through to the final, and Morocco and Argentina and France were in this, I don't think it'd have mattered to us. You know what I mean? Nobody would have cared because neither team would have cared. But
yeah,
because it's
exactly my point.
yeah, it is. It's a huge. It's just it is interesting that that's how it works rather than it just being big because it's a World Cup third fourth place playoff. It doesn't work like that. It is dependent on who it is that's playing rather than what the match itself is. But
So who do you have as the likely winners of the third place playoff?
oh, they're both very defensive, aren't they? So it could be just. you'd have to expect Croatia. They're the better team.
Yeah, but Portugal on paper,
Oh,
Belgium on
exactly.
paper,
Yeah,
they were the better team as well. Lest we forget, Morocco and Croatia were in the same group, and Morocco were the group winners.
that's true.
And for
That's
any
true.
yeah, for any curious buggers out there, the game ended 0-0 when they played each other.
Yeah, I just think the difference for me will be Modric in his final
Yeah, but
World Cup game ever.
yeah, but the French president Macron has said allegedly has said that Sofiane Amrabat is the best midfielder in the whole tournament.
Really?
Yeah, apparently after the France Morocco game, he told him in front of everyone that he's been the best midfielder in the tournament.
Wow. I bet Griezmann must have been happy about that.
I thought Chouameni
Salah
must be
scored.
delighted as well,
Yeah,
or
that's
maybe
it.
he's just saying it because he won, his team won. Maybe he thought would have been different had France lost.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's just one of those things you say to be nice rather than because you actually believe it. Though, by all accounts, he has had a very good tournament, but you know, it's he's a
But
defensive
I don't think
midfielder playing
either
in
of
a team
our
that's 10 men behind the ball. It's not a difficult. It's not as difficult a task as it is to play. You know, you know a lot of other roles in the team. It's probably about as easy as it's going to get to play his role. Is in the setup Morocco play.
well,
You
I'm
would be
not gonna
questioning
I'm
if
not
he
gonna
didn't
pass
play well.
I'm not gonna pass any judgment
And well, that's not a dig at him
because
because
of my
I don't know a
great
lot
great
about Amrabat. I've
insight.
not seen a lot of Amrabat, and what I have seen, it looked okay, but didn't look special. And Croatia, they've got some good players, though, haven't they? The question I think with them though, do you think this is a new era for them or the end of the era? Because obviously Modric's going, and people like Lovren will be gone. So
I
is it
think
the
this is the end of yeah, I think this is officially gonna be the final nail in the coffin for the previous era. I think it's more of an end of an era situation for them
so you don't think
because
this new
like
set coming through are gonna just take it, carry on as they did and keep it going? You think they'll falter a bit now?
I think for the next tournament they probably would be a lot worse
Next
because
World Cup or next
from yeah,
Euros you're talking about?
next tournament, next Euros in the
Yeah.
2 years.
So you don't think there's like Guardiola and that will step up?
Yeah, but it's mostly just Vardiol. Other guys, they don't have too many other youngsters contributing right now.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, you think
Yeah,
you're
that's the thing because Livakovic, yeah, he's okay for a keeper. He's about 27, 28, so he should be around.
yeah. I was trying to think. That's what I
Yeah.
was trying to think. Who have they got to like see them through?
Well,
Like
like off the
Kovacic.
top of my head, I'll say okay. They at right back they have Josip Juranovic who plays for Celtic.
Celtic.
Has
Yeah.
been linked with yeah has been linked with Man United amongst
Yep.
many other teams. Yeah, he's from all accounts he's decent. I don't know how brilliant
Even
he is or
Rangers
how
fans have
bad.
been saying he's played really well.
Yeah, but
So
he's played really well and he's a good player. It's a different thing.
no, but
Like
what I
we
mean
said
is,
with
no, they're
Amrabat.
saying he's really. I mean, they're saying he's a really good player and he's played really well. Even the Rangers fans say that because obviously they're watching the games because their left back sometimes is one of
Yeah,
is
Borna Barisic.
yeah Barisic, but not always. Obviously, he's only played I think
Yeah,
twice.
yeah. I don't know because the first choice left back is Sosa.
Yeah, Sosa, that's it. Just trying
Yeah.
to think of his name then. Glad you remembered.
No, that's why I get called
Yeah,
back here again and
but
again.
even the Rangers fans are saying
That's
he's a
my
good
job
player.
description. Yeah,
That's
okay,
a shame that.
Sosa
No.
it's probably yeah, he's but I from what I know of Sosa from his Stuttgart exploits is that he's an attacking wing back.
Hmm.
So in a flat back four, I'm
Yeah,
surprised he's not been exposed more. Guardiol is a very, very good player from At least
Mm.
from your insights on him.
Oh, I love him.
You're
I
better
know I
placed
do.
at judging him than me.
Yeah.
Lovren, as you said, is gonna on. Surely he should be phased out now. He's on his
This
last
has to be
legs.
his last game, doesn't it? Really, you would think. Though I mean, he's great to have around the squad. I think Liverpool noticeably dipped
As
after
a
he
first choice,
left,
is
in
no.
my
We're talking
opinion.
about the next evolution of the team as a first
Yeah,
choice.
but I'm
Adding
saying,
him around them
yeah, having him
is
around the squad, I
different.
think he's really good just to have around. I think he was brilliant at Liverpool for that. Well, I think people don't often realise how much of a difference it makes having players like him, people like him around. I mean, Arsene Wenger kept who was it? What's his name? That one lad around for ages just because he was good in the dressing room. Do you remember? He even said as much. Oh, I can't remember his name.
So you can come up with a name. I'll just
Ah, he was
run.
an African lad. That much I remember. He wasn't exactly highly rated. The fans thought he was awful, but Arsene Wenger kept him around. He said because he's good in the dressing room, and I think it makes a huge difference having the right personalities in your dressing room. Makes a huge difference to your ability to win trophies and to
Yeah,
keep
but
teams.
anyways, just moving on
So yeah.
because we both agree that
No, but what I mean is, will they miss? I think if they lose him, I think they'll. If Lovren is dropped out of the squad, I think they'll miss that, and that could be why it'll be the end of an era.
yeah,
A lot
but
of
the
Modric
remnants
and
of the
him gone.
previous era is going. Yeah, Modric definitely is gonna be out of
I'm
the
trying to
team
think
now.
who else is aging. I mean, what's his face?
Brozovic is getting to his 30s as well. Another guy. Yeah, Kovacic.
Kovacic. That's it. The Chelsea
Yeah,
lad,
that's
isn't
the
it?
other guy. Yeah, Kramaric. Another guy getting into his 30 when we move into the
Oh,
attack.
the ex-Leicester striker, Andrei Kramaric.
Yeah, Hoffenheim.
That's it. I couldn't think who they had up front then.
Perisic, another guy who should be,
Oh, he's getting on. Sure, but like,
yeah, for whom likely gonna be the last game as well.
yeah, isn't he
Even
like
if it isn't, there'd
31?
be no. He's not 31. He's 34. Babe.
34 is he? Ah, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking. Thought he was younger. Ah, no, yeah, the last because he's
No,
in.
he's just one of those players you always think he's just about 30. He's 33, soon turning 34.
Yeah, that's a shame because he's a good player. He's been a good player for a long time, man. So yeah. Do you think? I thought you
No,
said
they have a decent crop of players, but replacing so many vital cogs in the team is gonna be hard for anyone.
yeah. No, I'm
Doesn't
with
matter.
you on that. I think it's the end of an era. I think the only one they've really got that stands out is Guardiola, and it's
No,
he's
there's
not.
another guy like what's his name, Lucas Suchis, who plays for Salzburg. He's a midfielder, supposedly highly rated. Not seen too much of him. He was linked with Liverpool as well, if I recall correctly.
We get linked with just about everyone these days.
Especially if they play for one of the Red Bull teams.
Yes, very true.
Whether there is anything in it or not, but you guys do manage to get linked to most of the players these days.
Yeah. As long as we get Bellingham, I'm not really. I've given up caring about them. It's just want Bellingham so bad. I mean, I'd love Guardiola as well, but that ain't gonna happen. But
And like
anyway,
I've said before,
before we go any further, come on, put yourself on the line. Let's have a prediction from you for the third, fourth place and the final.
yeah, in just in a different way, you're just asking me who am I gonna jinx? It's gonna be France
Croatia.
and
Well, no, because
Croatia.
if I pick the other team, then they've got a good chance of actually cancelling out the jinx, haven't they?
Yeah, but then it would just mean that something horrible would happen. That would mean that neither of the games actually take place.
Hey, that'd be
Can we risk
interesting, wouldn't it?
can we risk it with the world? Come on.
Oh, that'd be interesting. No, let's try it. Let's see if we can jinx the whole thing. See what happens.
No, but the thing is, if we actually decide it like this, then it doesn't have the power. If, let's say, naturally you were saying Argentina are gonna win, and I was saying
Hmm.
France are gonna win.
Well, I think France are
Well,
going to win. So.
having said that, I've had a horrible feeling in my belly for about a week that Argentina are gonna win it.
Yeah,
And
that's
there's
what's
not many worse
worrying
things.
me.
Yeah, there's not many worse things that could happen to me as a football fan than Argentina winning the World Cup. It goes like this: England winning the World Cup, England winning anything, Argentina winning the World Cup, Liverpool winning the league. That's the pecking order.
Really?
I've watched one thing. Yeah, I've watched one thing now. God forbid any of the other three things happen. You
How?
don't know how
Why
insufferable the
Argentina?
Argentina supporters are here in Nepal.
Oh, right.
No, I've never liked Argentina. It's got nothing to do with Messi at all. Like, for example, our lad Garnacho is Argentinian. I still don't like Argentina. Like I said, there's Lisandro Martinez playing for Argentina. I still would be so disappointed if he actually came with the trophy. It just doesn't matter. Like, regardless of who plays for Argentina, I just don't fancy them ever.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought it mattered to you. There.
No, it
Obviously, if
matters.
you're
It matters a
English,
lot.
English tend to dislike Argentina because of the Falklands, which is strange.
No, I never liked Argentina too much, but especially with the scene here. Like, it's hard to figure out whether I'm living in Nepal or Argentina right now.
Really? I
Yeah,
wouldn't have thought
so many
Argentina. Is
fucking
that because of Messi
supporters.
or?
No, it's just with the younger generation, I guess Messi is a big factor, but it's just from the past times as well. Because Brazil and Argentina do tend to have the bigger superstars
Yeah.
from the long while. Like Platini is considered a very good player, but he doesn't have the same status as, let's say, your Maradona, Pele, whoever.
Re- hmm.
Yeah, because for the people of this generation, they've grown up with Messi. For the people from the past generation, the older generation, they grew up with Maradona.
Maradona for me, just wow.
And let me tell you one thing, Messi supporters are the most insufferable ones. You can't rhyme or reason with them. People get angry when I say that I don't like Messi.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll elaborate it after we're done with the podcast.
Okay, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought people would care. It's strange how you can be bothered about a team from, a country that you've never been to or have any connection with at all.
Or are ever actually likely even gonna go to. It's
Yeah,
not like,
but that's what I mean. You've
okay,
got
if
no connection with them whatsoever. But you're actually bothered whether they win, lose, or draw. I find this is why I struggle with international football. Liverpool for me, obviously, it's my hometown, it's my home team, it's where my granddad used to take me when I was a kid when he was alive, and it's got so many good memories for me. So that's where my heart is. But like international, I just don't. I'll watch the games if they're on. You know what I mean? If it's free to view, I'd watch any game of football. Basically, I'll watch women's football, kids football, watch kids kicking the ball around in the park. I do every weekend when we go out here, and they're doing the coaching at the university here when we're walking around, and I'll say, I'll watch them coaching the kids there. It's just because it's football. I love football, but I couldn't care less who wins when it's international football. I just can't. I can't get myself behind any team because it just doesn't matter to me.
Not even England, huh?
Uh,
Especially with the Southgate Brigade.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem and the constant references to 1966. And as a kid, we moved down south, and I used to get abuse for being from Liverpool because it was like, everyone hated Scousers when I was growing up. They were just always there because of the Thatcher thing where she was trying to destroy the city at the time. So like, it's hard to actually care because you just think, what half of them kids were going there watch England. We're big England fans rather than supporting a team, like, because there wasn't many local teams in the area, you know what I mean? There wasn't any big teams in the area, so a lot of them were more England fans than football fans, if you see what I mean. So it's hard to put that aside, to put that aside, you know what I mean? So I just tend to look at England as it tends to be for thugs and hooligans that follow it. The most of the fans just seem to be. It seems to be the worst kind of football fans that follow it. Is what I'm saying. Is what I'm trying to say, and it's difficult to like England fans. You know. I mean, they're
Don't tell
just.
me because I don't like England at all. So.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, every time you see them, you just think, oh. You know what I mean? You just look at them and you go, oh God, and and that's what people think of when you say you're from England. That's what people think you are. You know what I mean? When you tell people that's how they see you. They think you're some kind of. They expect you to be a football hooligan, a racist football hooligan at that. It's, yeah. Oh, apparently we've got to pick France and Mbappe to score loads before for this one because Dara wants our help because he's backed them. So he's got a bet on them. So we'll choose France and Mbappe then to win it, and Mbappe to score a hat trick. There you go, Dara. You definitely win now because we got such a track record on picks, haven't we?
Oh, and
Oh God, you've broken up.
just go back and listen to the podcast we did previewing the World Cup. You'll just see how great we are with
No, he already
all those
knows. That's why he was
calls.
saying, don't jinx it. Well, please don't curse it for me. He said, that's why I said, no, don't worry, we'll back him for.
So maybe it's just time for you to discuss about your favorite manager in world football right now.
Have you seen
The
that?
worst, yeah, the worst quote winning Gareth Southgate.
Oh.
Since we're already on the topic of England,
Do you know one thing I've noticed though on the sites while we're on the subject of soccer? Before I get any further, one thing I've noticed is it doesn't matter which site you're on. It does seem like the Irish are the ones that back Gareth Southgate. They all seem to think that the English team is shit, and he's working a miracle. You look at it; it's Ken on the Man United side. On the Leeds side, it's Cork White, who's clearly from Cork. You know what I mean? And it's the same on every side. Yeah, I don't understand. I wonder if it's they're so used to watching football under Jack Charlton. That's when they thought football was great, and his football was absolutely atrocious. Let's be honest. I love Jack Charlton. Was a lovely, lovely man and all that. He's one of my all-time heroes in football. But his football was shite. It was terrible. And yeah, Ireland are crap. So they did well under him, and but England aren't the same. They've got a good set of players. They've got an excellent set of players. Maybe not the best in the tournament by any stretch. I don't know. Not maybe. By any stretch of imagination, they're not the best set of players, best squad in the tournament. No, I don't think they are. Possibly with Francis, because of France's injuries, they might arguably be close to him. Much closer it would be a full strength. But Southgate is simply not making the most of the players he's got. And the fact that people like the BBC. This thing messages to say your messages to Gareth. I mean, My message to him would be, fuck off, you overpaid twat, and that's being nice. That's the nicest thing I can think to say to him. Because he is ridiculous. He's being paid millions of pounds a year to fail. And he is failing. It doesn't matter what anybody says. The fact that he's mulling over his future, the first thing he should have done when they went out of the World Cup last time around was hand in his resignation, because he was shit then. Every time they play anybody good, they get beaten. Simple as that. He's a coward manager. He can't pick the right squad. He can't pick the right team. He's the one that came out and said he wouldn't pick players who aren't in form and aren't playing. Yet he's picked half his squad as being not playing or not in form or both. I just don't understand how anyone can still back the man. I really don't. And the media seems to have this agenda where he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't get it.
And do you know who the flag bearer for that is? It's your boy Jamie Carragher.
Oh, don't get me started on Carragher. I don't like. As a pundit, he's one of the worst in my opinion. I mean, he's too cowardly to go into management, which he'd always said he was going to do when he finished football. But he said it's too much pressure. Coward. Man up. Well, if you're not going to go, if you've not got the balls to do that, then you shouldn't be able to sit there in a studio and criticise others or talk up others or have any. See, none of these pundits these days are worth even listening to. At least in the past, you had the likes of David Pleat, who may not have been a great manager, but he did have a good go at it, and at least he could offer some insight from what it's actually like. Having someone like Carragher and Neville, who's had like 10 minutes in the job and was the worst coach in history.
No, it wasn't the worst coach. There's another Liverpool guy who has a worse record than Neville.
No, I'm talking about what he was called. Neville was called by Valencia. Valencia itself was the worst coach in history. So, I'm going by that. I wasn't saying I think he's the worst coach, because I'm quite sure there's a lot worse coaches out there, especially in the lower levels. But I'm talking about what they called him. That's what he was labelled as. So.
Yeah, but at least he tried his hand out with Neville.
Yeah, at least
he failed.
But
he failed miserably.
He didn't want to. That's the thing. He didn't do it because he did it because his mate asked him to step in and paid him a huge amount of money. And let's face it, Neville's another one that's just a greedy bastard. He was always behind all the negotiations at Man United as well, making sure the players got paid a huge amount more.
Yeah, and Carragher, I can say that the England manager should be English. What do you say about it?
I disagree with this. You either make it a rule that the best man, the managers should be like the players should be eligible for the country, or it's not. I think it should be a rule personally.
No, it shouldn't be.
Because it should be.
No, it shouldn't be. No, I strongly disagree. If let's say Pep Guardiola wants to manage Portugal or Brazil or USA, why should it stop?
No, I'm saying as the rules stand, I say that's fine. I've got no problem. I don't care where they're from. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to have an international tournament where England competes against France, it should be the best of England versus the best of France, and that includes coaching staff. Everything. It should be England versus France.
That's just your hate for England speaking.
No, it's not.
No, that's just your hate. No, listen, that's just your hate for England speaking, because England struggle to produce half decent coaches at all.
They wouldn't. I don't think they would if they had to have the best. Let's face it. I mean, they put Southgate. He's English. That's why he was given the job. Let's be honest. He wasn't given the job because he's any good. He was given the job because he's English, and they couldn't think of anybody else.
And I know what Carragher is trying to say, because I'm pretty sure the guys who say the England manager should be English will throw out the stat that no foreign coach has ever won a World Cup, if I recall correctly. It's always been the home coach, but there's a difference. When was the last time an English manager actually won the league? and then you can compare it. Yeah, and then you can
Oh no,
compare
I
and
have no,
contrast
I have
that.
no problem as the rules stand. Like I said, it's just you pick the best man you can get. That's fine.
Yeah,
I've
and
got no problem with
yeah,
that.
and you
But
have
what
to
I'm saying
contrast that.
is, if you're
Yeah.
going to have an international tournament that's France versus England, it should be France versus England, and it should be the best of France versus the best of England, and it should be the best of Croatia playing now. They should be the best Croatian coach. It should head coach should be the best Croatian assistant coaches, best Croatian physios, the best Croatian doctors, and whatever else, the psychiatrists, whoever else is, in the backroom stuff. They should all have to be eligible to not play because obviously they're a bit old, but you know what I mean. They should have been. If they were players, they'd be eligible to play for the country. That's how it should be, in my opinion. Otherwise, it's not really France v England if half of it is Italian or Scottish or for
Yeah, but
me.
at the end of the day, things most of the time usually end up being like that because England do have an English manager and do tend to have an English manager most of the time. So do
Yeah, but
France. France do
I
tend to
wouldn't
have
agree
French.
with what Carragher's saying, where he's saying it has to be English. I'm saying that
It has to be
I
the
think the
guy
rules should
available,
be changed
shouldn't
to
it?
make it the best. That's how it should be. But as it's not, I think you just go for the best that's available. If Jurgen Klopp says, or Pep Guardiola says, I want to go into international management, and England don't turn around and say, we'd like you to come and manage us, then please, then I'd question England's head, the FA for being too stupid to go and approach them because they should be jumping on it.
Yeah, and with Carragher saying that, it just doesn't match because French coaches have won the French league. Italian coaches do tend to win Italian leagues. Same with the Spanish ones.
Yeah,
Same with the German
but
ones.
English ones don't
But
win the
not,
English
but
ones.
English one, there's literally been a, there's literally been no any English manager that's
No,
won
they're
the
not
Premier
good enough.
League.
But like, I think they'd develop them if
Yeah, but
they.
right now it would just be an even bigger handicap to England if
Yeah,
you
no,
just
no,
all of a sudden made sure that
I do think you can't.
no good coaches would be available.
Yeah, you can't do it as things stand. I'm fully behind that. You can't do it. But like I'm just saying that an international tournament should be an international tournament. It should be France v England, and it should be the French versus the England. Otherwise, it's just it's only half. So it's not really the same, is it? It's like when you have it's. I
It
don't.
is. I don't agree with your take on this one.
I just think it's the way it should be. It should be a bit of fun. It shouldn't be taken so seriously for starters. It should be a bit of fun, and it should. That's why it should be done like that. It's like if you're in training matches, they often used to put nationalities together, against each other, just for a bit of fun. It wasn't meant to be like that, okay? You weren't putting them against each other, and that's how to cause fights. You're putting them against each other just to identify them as different, so you set them. So you've got two teams to face each other. So you pick them by nationality just to give them something to get behind, and that's all it should be. It shouldn't actually matter. It should just be a bit of fun, these World Cups, and instead, because of the money in them, they've become something more, and they're not fun. And that's what's wrong with them, in my opinion. Is it's the money's overtaken it, and they've lost their way. But yeah, I do think it should be the way. The only problem with that is I do think that it penalises teams that aren't like England, a lot of the African nations that just aren't producing quality coaches. But there's no reason why England can't do so, other than they choose not to spend their money wisely. Certainly,
Yeah,
one of the reasons
I was
FA.
thinking the same. I was thinking the same thing. Like it's all good and well saying it from the English point of view, the French point of view, but then you have to also consider the teams from the lesser
But then they
regions.
have the same handicap in terms, Uruguay only have a tiny population, so they're always going to be at a disadvantage in the World Cup, even if they don't, have to pick from the same pool for their managers and staff as well. It's always going to be a disadvantage. That's how it works. It's a disadvantage. You know what I mean? It's an international tournament. You can't have some teams are going to have more of an advantage. It hasn't helped India, even though their population's massive, has it? Hasn't helped China.
China?
Who've got the biggest population, but they can't compete. So, so it doesn't actually. It is possible to compete and win things with a smaller population. So, I just don't see why not. Why you wouldn't change it to have the whole coaching staff and that, and then but before you got just I was going to say my point is what I'd do is to level the field. I'd want FIFA to give subsidies to smaller nations, and depending on how much money their thing do and how badly they've done in the past, I'd want them to subsidise that country over the next few years on a higher amount. If a team doesn't qualify for the World Cup, they should be subsidised over the next 4 years to give themselves a better chance of getting into the following one and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
I hear you. I don't agree with it.
You're never going to get it's not going to be a fair system no matter what you do.
Entitled to your opinion.
Because it's international and every country's different.
I'm entitled to mine.
Yeah, no, I can understand why people don't agree. I just don't see the point in having an international tournament where it's France v England when only half of it's, only the team, only 11 of the players are actually French, and half of them probably only, could play for about 30 other nations as well. Yeah, you could declare for Ireland, mate. You'd be alright. You'd be in the Irish group, wouldn't you?
Yeah, except for the goalkeeping position, I probably would get into this if I was to declare for Ireland.
And if you take an Irish passport, you can play for either Ireland or either Northern or Southern Ireland. You'd walk in the Northern Irish team, to be fair.
Yeah, and if I'm half decent, I'd actually get into the England squad.
Oh, well, if Southgate could pick Harry Maguire, I'm sure you could get in there over him.
No,
you
come on, I'm not gonna...
You played less games in it.
Yeah, I'm better than Maguire.
To get in the team.
No, maybe if my parents or some football club was able to provide me with the HGH, then maybe with a few more inches, possibly. But
well,
see, I'm gonna twist everything around Messi.
You asking for a few more inches. I say, hope no girls are listening to this that you like. Oh, now tell them you need a few more inches. That's putting them off straight away. Wow, you really shouldn't have admitted that, mate. Just one of those things a man should never admit to, needing more inches, I tell you. So where were we anyway? Oh, you've gone quiet now.
We were talking about Southgate's future. No,
yes.
No, it was nothing. I just thought silence was the only way out for me.
Yeah, for me, Southgate has to go. I mean, just replace him.
I could neither deny or accept. No, I could neither deny or accept the allegations he was making against me.
Yeah, sometimes it's best to say nothing. I get you. Yeah, you've said it live on air, mate. You can't really. It's too late to deny it. You're best just saying nothing now and hope it goes away. Yeah, so I mean Southgate. For me, he's got to go. But I'm sure the BBC will be.
Yeah, but we always like.
They'll do an Elon Musk.
We've discussed this many times.
Have you seen what he did? He put up a poll about things when the result wasn't the choice he wanted. You know, when it was like 40% were voting that he put 5 options, and 40% went for the option he didn't want of letting the journalist back in. So he said there was too many options and took the poll down and run it with a completely different poll instead. It's like, well, that'd be you. But that's what the BBC will do about Gareth Southgate if they don't like what people are saying. If they're not backing him, well, we'll change the options. It's obviously too many options. People are getting confused. Even though like 90% would be against, even if 90% were against him. So I don't think, you know what? I actually honestly think that it's a very even split on Southgate in the English, from what I can tell from English people. There's a lot of them that seem to think he's doing a good job, and I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Every time he plays,
the ones that say, okay, the ones that say he's been doing a good job. What more can we expect from him? We just go about and say that this is the furthest England have gone into the tournament. This is the yada yada. But the thing is, like I've said before, England under Southgate have, in my opinion, won 0 matches when I thought they weren't the favourites going into the match.
Yeah.
That's the issue with England. They've not won a single match when I've said, hang on a minute, maybe England don't start as the favourite this time. 2018 World Cup, played Belgium twice. I thought Belgium were the favourites going into the match. Belgium won both times.
Yeah,
same thing happened in the Euros.
It's all very well saying he's got further than others, but he's got a much better squad than others, and he still refuses to. He still picks 3 right backs and only 1 left back. I mean, in your squad,
and that too.
Things like that, picking players like Harry Maguire and that. You've got to say that should have been a sackable offence. Though, as I put on the notes before we started about Harry Maguire. People seem to be raving about how great he's been, yet those same people also blame him for every goal that England had conceded just about. So, has he been great or has he been shite and they've just been playing so deep he can't really be bad? You know what I mean? He can't really do anything wrong. It's difficult to get out of position if you're not moving.
Yeah, and to people saying like, come on, you're not giving him, for people saying we're not giving him credit or whatever, if you provide anybody with a decent structure and enough protection, any defender will look good. And if someone doesn't agree with him with this take, then I'll just tell them to go watch Manchester United under Louis van Gaal, when we had 2 sitting midfielders in front of the back line and Chris Smalling looked one of the best at the back.
Well, we said
because you supplement the guy with things that he lacks. If he's not good with the ball, then you have players around him where he can just knock it about 5 feet. If he's good in the air, you make sure that teams can't actually run past him. And if he's like with Maguire, if the ball is coming into the box in the air, yeah, he's gonna get his head to it 9 times out of 10. That doesn't mean he became a good defender also all of a sudden. It just means that his weaknesses were hidden and his positives, however little they are, were accentuated.
I'm not sure he would get to it 9 times out of 10. I think you're over-egging it. Cause
no, he gets to it.
I think you're 5 times
no,
out of 10.
He gets
4
to
times
his...
out of 10 he runs into his teammate. And 1 out of 10 he's too busy pulling on his... he's too busy hugging somebody to get up and even notice the ball's being crossed in.
No, 9 times out of the 10 he gets his head to it, but about 5 times he makes sure he makes a mistake with his head, and that's the thing.
I'm not sure he makes sure. I think he's just got a head like a 50p piece, and it just bounces anywhere. It's just random. I don't think he heads it as much as it hits him on the head.
He's just the Mohamed Saka of England. He just can't. Is it Mohamed?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, Sacco. Oh.
Yeah, you know what? You know who I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Sacco, I don't know what his first name is.
See,
Mohamed
I don't
Saka.
understand how Southgate got anywhere near the England job anyway. He was awful at Middlesbrough, absolutely dreadful. He was embarrassingly bad, in fact. It's terrible. Then he gets an England job afterwards, but you just look at it and you think this is a guy who failed England by missing a penalty, awful penalty, and then did an advert about it afterwards with Stuart Pearce, who shouldn't have been anywhere near an England job either. Apart from the fact that he also sold out his country in that respect, making jokes about the thing to earn plenty of money. But yeah, he shouldn't have been there because he'd been done for racially abusing other opponents. But yeah, that's beside the point. It's like he should. What I'm saying is he shouldn't have been anywhere near an England job anyway. There should be no way that you put a man who's got a track record that bad into a job as England manager in the first place. So why is there even a question about whether to keep him or not when he's failed each time to actually win when there's been everything, all the stars have aligned to give him the easiest possible run each time. You couldn't have asked for an easier run than England have had in every tournament under him, and yet they've failed each time. They've even got fucking relegated in the Nations League. I don't even know what that is, but that's how bad he's been.
What? They got relegated? I didn't know.
Yeah, didn't they get relegated in the Nations League?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't help you with that.
Yeah, they failed miserably because they were all talking about sacking him before the tournament. Now suddenly he's a hero again. I just don't get it. He's not actually done anything. They couldn't even. People going on about how great America were before the tournament. Everyone was saying how poor, how England had a good chance of winning all three games because of how easy the group was. Because not one of those teams was actually any good. In America, they've got a couple of decent players. That's it. They're not a bad side, but they're certainly not a side that should be troubling England. They're not 1950 level poor. It's not a 1950 level result either, but it's a very poor result drawing against them.
Yes, struggled to score a single goal against. No, from what I read, England were fortunate to actually not lose the game. If there was a winner on merit,
they played freaking Iran, and people are raving about how good they are. I'll not be funny, but if they didn't beat Iran, you should be by a big margin. You should be embarrassed. It's just I don't understand it. I really don't understand it, honestly. How he gets so much backing, I just don't understand. Oh, I wonder if it's similar to I think I've told this story before about my uncle doing the commentary for the BBC. He was doing the punditry in the studio. No idea why, because he's not a football pundit by any means. But he was doing the punditry in the studio when Man United went to the Club World Cup in Brazil. Remember when they skipped out of the FA Cup? Do you remember that?
That was
when was that? What year was that? Was Ferguson still in charge? Anyway, he was doing he was in the studio doing the Jamie Carragher role in the studio, talking to get out the game. Man United of all things, obviously. So he's there, Liverpool fan, desperate for Man United to lose, but he's given a scripted talking points that he had to say. You know what I mean? He had to stick to this, and the main thing on it was he had to be backing United and saying how much he wanted them to win. Do you think that's what's going on here? That's why they're all so desperate for him to stay. Do you think that's what the media are telling, their bosses are telling them to say rather than what they think? Or do you think they actually believe it?
I think.
And you've gone quiet again. Don't tell me you've gone off. You're still online.
I think they probably believe it.
You're very quiet. Speak up, Seamus. Not like you are.
Hang on a minute.
Quiet.
Now, hang on a minute. Is it better now?
Yeah, obviously you need a few more inches still.
Shut up.
Oh. Yeah, relegated with Hungary, Dara's just said, in their group.
What?
From the Nations
Wow.
League.
That's a great achievement. That's a great achievement.
It is to be that bad that you get relegated. But anyway, yeah, so do you think these pundits actually believe it, or do you think they're being told to say you've got to back Southgate for some reason?
So
Maybe.
I think most of the pundits do actually believe it.
Hmm, they're not very bright, to be fair. Ian Wright will back anybody's England. He's just very patriotic, isn't he? And he just gives everyone his back. It wouldn't matter who it was, he's going to back them because he's a nice guy and he doesn't want to upset anybody and that. You know what I mean? So I understand someone like him, but some of these others, just think, how can they believe this?
Yeah, well, if we are talking about managerial, the thing is, England should get the change now. I think it's enough time. They have about what 18 months till the next Euros.
Exactly.
It's enough time, I think. But at the end of the day, England are a bit of bit in. That's when I kind of sort of hope they continue with Southgate because I think Southgate is hopeless.
Yeah, because you don't
But
like England.
unlike a lot
You
of
bloody
witness who've
Irish.
been a lot
Say,
more decisive with the. Oh yes, that's why I don't like. Oh, it
say,
just connects again and again.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
it all
bloody
comes down to
Irish.
this. Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah, it's just the way it is. Like it's in my blood.
You blood. Now Baz has adopted you.
Yeah, it's in my blood. It's in my bones.
Yeah, you got to do it now. Anyway, should we move on from the World Cup because I think we've talked enough about England and the World Cup now.
No, I don't think we can move on too much from World Cup because unlike England, a lot of the nations have actually already seen change in managerial
Yes, that's true.
situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spain saw Luis Enrique decide to move on, or them deciding to move him on, or however it's
He was
phrased. But
sacked.
yeah,
To be fair, I can't believe he's even continued in the job after. I mean, it's his daughter that died, wasn't it? I don't know how he could even. You know, that should be. That can't. I can't even begin to imagine how you cope with something like that. I don't know. He's a brave guy just to continue even trying. I would have said personally. I think he'd have been better taking a break from football completely and letting somebody else take charge while he went off and dealt with his
did he do
grief.
that? I
But
think he
yeah,
did that.
yeah, but I think he should have done it. I think he should have done it early. I don't think taking charge. I don't think that would have helped him. I think he's. It's,
But I don't think it's for me or you to decide whether.
no. And people deal with
That's,
grief their different ways and all that. But I just think
yeah, exactly.
it's just something. It's not as in like him dealing with it so much as having the media. I've been out in Spain and I've seen what the media are like about the Spanish international manager, and they're as bad as they're horrible. Honestly, they're really nasty. They can be, and I just don't think he needed that kind of press at this time. I think he needed a bit of a break, but like he stood up and he was there to be counted. It just didn't work out for him, and they were awful. So yeah, it's no surprise he's gone. To be fair, so who else has gone?
Yeah, Portugal as well. They've
Yeah,
decided to
that's
sack
true.
their manager.
Yeah.
Germany have taken the right decision to continue with the best manager. That is the most important thing.
The
Brazil,
genius. Yeah.
yeah. By the way, Brazil, if
Got rid of Titi, didn't they?
yeah, they got rid of
That's
TJ.
hardly a surprise because they should be in there, and they
Yeah,
weren't even
not
close.
winning is a failure for them.
Oh, and with the team they had every chance, and they just never looked like they were gonna.
They did look like they were gonna after the end of the group stages.
Yeah, but I mean, when it got into the important matches, they just didn't look like a team.
Well, not Messi, Neymar.
It's when he came
He's gonna
back. Let's put him
continue.
back in
Yeah,
the
come
team.
on.
See, that's the mistake they made. If they'd have just left him out when he was after he was injured, they were playing much better without him.
I think there is a chance that Netherlands might see a change of coach very soon.
Belgium was another one.
Yeah, Belgium. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. I was sure I'd forgotten the.
We got disconnected. Hang on, it's disconnected. That's restarting. It's the dash back again. Sorry, the streaming software disconnected them for a second, so we were off for a bit. We're back on now, though.
Did Poland see a change in manager?
God,
No.
do you know what?
Is it
I meant to write all
many?
these down quickly, but I can't find the list now. Shit.
Yeah, but there's been significant movement in from the fallout of this World Cup.
Yeah,
Too many teams have underachieved.
I suppose it's only to be expected, really. There was a lot of teams that failed to even make themselves look like they were anywhere near the level people expected going into the tournament, like Belgium.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see who the nations actually managed to get in now.
Well, Belgium have said they're looking for a serial winner. Well, why didn't they do that last time instead of taking Bobby Martinez, who's like a serial failure? Fucking he got Everton relegated. Near as damn it. Yeah,
No.
Wigan relegated.
We get relegated.
And near as
Not
damn it,
Everton.
Everton relegated is what I meant to say. Sorry, apologies, Everton fans. That was meaning to say he got Wigan relegated and Everton nearly relegated. Start again. Right, made that clear. Yeah, and so he wasn't exactly going into it on the back of good work, was he? You know, and he's shown nothing to pick. So yeah, but I don't know who you can get. I mean, you look at the
Yogi Love.
available.
I think Yogi Love would be the guy. He's won the World Cup with Germany.
Yeah, but is he even?
Who else? Like, there's no one else.
Is he a good coach, Yogi Love, or did he just happen to get lucky? Because it is possible to win
we have
something
to ask,
like this.
No, we have to ask the question like this, Chris. Is he the Hansi Flick of the international managers, or is it Didier Deschamps?
Not sure you can really say it that way when Didier Deschamps has won a World Cup and Hansi Flick hasn't.
No, but my point
Who
being,
would you
like,
take if you had the choice? Someone who's lucky or someone who's good? Napoleon said, I'd rather a lucky manager than a good one.
yeah, but especially in a tournament.
Exactly. In this kind of situation, you need luck to have the right players fit and in form going into it, and get drawn in the right draw to suit the team, and the right teams go out so that you get through to it's so much of it is luck in cups in general. Well,
yeah, like I said, Norwich played. Yeah, like I always remember, Norwich played Man City. At the end of Norwich beat Man City in the league. At the end of the season, Norwich got relegated. Man City won the league.
Exactly. Doesn't make
it just proves that Just
Yeah.
when you have just one game, anyone can beat anyone.
Yeah, and that's what a cup is. You know, cup is just a series of one-off games. But at the end of a league, it's a totally different story. It is a different thing. So yeah, it's. I think I'd look for someone who's lucky. Thinking about it now, maybe we should. Maybe England should find somebody Irish, eh? Look at the Irish and all that. Sod English.
I
Let's get an Irishman in charge who's lucky.
yeah,
Just all
drunk
he's
of
got to
the
do is
Irish.
bring a four-leaf clover with him and a leprechaun. That could be you. That's
That's
why
just
you're
racist.
Irish,
Now,
isn't
come
it?
on. That's just stereotyping everyone from Ireland. You
I'm
you
allowed
just
to
need
because
to
I'm
add
part Irish, mate. I'm
you,
allowed to do it.
no, you just need to
Like you
add a
can't
red head.
because you're
No,
adopted Irish.
you need to add a red head and a sack of potatoes, and you're good to go.
No, redheads is. I don't. Is redheads Irish thing? And that might explain why I've got red hair. So, and I love potatoes, so. Yeah, true. Actually, thinking about it, I was just thinking about which side of the family my red hair came from. Actually, yeah, you got a good point there. It is the Irish side, so yeah, good point. Anyway, so shall we move on? Because I think we've done all the international. Oh no, there is one more thing, international thing we've got to do. I think there's actually two more things thinking about it international, but like there's one more thing on the World Cup. I mean, do you know what I mean?
Cameroon
No World Cup thing. I mean the
Club World Cup.
no Manuel Neuer.
Ah, now you're getting it. But that's not World Cup. That's after World Cup. Come
Yeah,
on.
but it's World Cup linked because it was after the World Cup he went away to clear his head. He
Skiing.
said so. He went skiing and broke his leg, and he's out for the rest of the season. So,
Probably.
so that's Hansi Flick get blamed for something else then, because of his management failed them so bad they've even lost their Bayern Munich have even lost their goalkeeper for the rest of the season. See, your Hansi Flick shouts seeming worse and worse and worse every single day, mate.
No, come on. It's not Hansi's Flick.
Oh, it's definitely Hansi Flick's fault because that's why they lost and he picked him. So he needed to clear his head after working with Hansi Flick because it was such a bad experience for him.
No, I think he just ended his international career. On a serious note, I think he just ended his international career now.
Well, I think he had anyway, hadn't he? Because he's 36. I think he was done anyway. Really, I can't see how you can keep kicking him for a.
No, but this just made
You
it
need to
easier.
bed in somebody new, surely.
Yeah, Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. That he's gonna be the next one in line.
I
I'm
think he
pretty
should have been
sure.
in a bit sooner, to be honest, because Neuer's had problems with his wrists for years.
Yeah, but that's the
And
issue
you
when
can
you have.
see him when you watch
Yeah,
him play. He's weak. He's not a good. He's not been a top class keeper for a long time, in my opinion. I watch him and I think those wrists are a problem. You can see it. There's a lot of times he could do better, clearing a ball.
or
He
coming
puts it
for
in
crosses.
danger.
I like I read somewhere that he claimed zero crosses in the whole World Cup this time around.
Yeah, he doesn't because he can't. He's got really bad.
Yeah,
He's got
probably.
hand
Yeah,
problems and that. That affect him.
yeah. Very likely. Very likely.
Um, when you've got them, you have to change your game.
You
I
have
mean,
to.
you look at
Yeah.
Alan
Yes.
McGregor at Rangers because he's got arthritis problems. He doesn't come out for a single high ball at all. He stays rooted to his line, and all he does is shot stop. And that's where a lot of their problems come from. Is that they're conceding goals that he should be dealing with. If you've got a keeper that can't deal with crosses, you've got a problem. I remember
Yeah, but
Liverpool with David Gea.
maybe we should talk more about the actual threats risk with uh, sport, shall we say, like skiing for a
Yeah,
professional
yeah, because
athlete.
a lot of it's not just footballers, but a lot of sport. Big, a smaller name footballers and that and sports stars will have written into their contract they're not allowed to do certain dangerous sports. Skiing being one of the number one, it's usually right and always in the list, is they're not allowed to take part in it. So
And that's why I ask.
surprised.
Like that is why I am surprised why either Neuer broke the agreement, or why the hell was he allowed to go skiing in the first place?
I can only think that because he's such a big name for them, he's there. He's seen as a big star for them, and to keep him there rather than him going off and earning a lot more money at in La Liga or something. I can only assume they're giving him a bit of leeway.
But that's just stupid. Come on.
Because that's what usually happens. Is it's because the players got a bit of power, like Cristiano Ronaldo says, but I want to go skiing, and they say, well, we want to keep you at the club. When he's at his peak, and they'll say, okay, well, just be careful then, please.
Yeah, or let's say someone
Or
wants to.
Messi or
Yeah, like someone just
Mbappe.
wants to. Yeah, just wants to play golf instead. Like maybe that is what they ask for. That is what they look for when they're signing for some club.
Yeah.
Whether they can be allowed to do that or not.
Yeah, I mean, there is often players that will want, their favourite activity they'll want to take part in. But I do agree, because it might be a Bayern thing though, because they allow Thomas Muller to go horse riding. He keeps famous for keeping horses there, with his wife, and he's big into the horses and that's one of the most dangerous sports in the world as well. I mean, you fall off a horse, you know it, and if they hit
You
you,
get
you
kicked
know
by
it.
it.
Oh, yeah. An ex of mine was really horsey, and I used to be, have to be around the horse all the time. She was from a wealthy family, so really horsey. Those horses they were terrifying when they got, loose. I wouldn't ride. I'd never, wouldn't go near riding one myself. Got on fire. I mean, I like horses as an animal, but I wouldn't want to ride one. It's just terrifying. Did it once, wouldn't do it again.
I would, given the opportunity, I would for sure.
What, ride a
For
horse?
sure, for sure. Yeah.
Would you? It's not for
Yeah,
me.
for sure.
It's not. I just didn't find it. It's just painful and annoying. But try click clop click. Oh, boring. Don't get it at
No,
all.
if possible, if possible, I'd buy a horse. I'd name him Mayo, and then sometimes he would just be like mayonnaise.
Man, fuck's sake. Oh, Jesus Christ! I can't believe you did that gag. Oh God.
No,
Yeah,
no, I can't
like,
believe I
we
did
should
it
be.
twice.
We
I've
should.
done it before as well
Oh no, we should
with
be
the whole
taken off air for
mayonnaise.
this. We should be taken off air. That's it. We don't have to cut it down. No more. That's got to be the end of it. That's destroyed it. We can't put out another podcast with jokes like that, mate. Oh my God.
No, maybe we should just do a different one with bad jokes.
Oh no, I've seen the ones you send me. Please don't. Don't even suggest it. You and Billy can do it, because his is so bad.
No, Baza is the guy.
Oh,
Baza
Baz,
is
yeah,
my
you,
man.
Billy and Bazza be great together.
Yeah, the three Asketeers.
Something. I don't know. I can't think of a polite word for the three of you. Gotta be honest. Oh God. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do that. No, I think I'd leave that for you three. Though I tell enough of them myself, so I don't know why. Right, what
Yeah, but
else?
coming back to Neuer's injury, it's properly through the spanner in Bayern season as well now.
Yeah, who's their backup? I've forgotten.
It's Sven Ulreich.
That's it. Alright. Yeah. I knew
Yeah,
it
but
was.
I think if possible, they should try and get back Alexander Nurgle from Monaco. He's unknown there from Bayern.
Oh yeah, they probably could recall him, couldn't they?
They
They
should,
will be able
they
to.
should, because they actually signed him to be the successor to Neuer.
I'm sure they'll be able to recall him if they've got. They just have to pay a fee if it's if it's not got an agreed break clause in it. They'll just have to pay a fee to Monaco.
Yeah, I think
They'll do
what's
it.
gonna happen, like, if I'm gonna make a prediction for January window, would be like Noble goes back to Bayern Munich, and Monaco end up signing Livakovic, the Croatian goalkeeper. That's gonna be my prediction.
Yeah. Should we talk about the January transfer window while we're on it?
Yeah, maybe just breeze past it.
Yeah. Just quickly,
Liverpool
because
are gonna sign F all. Man United are gonna sign F all
do
because
you
the owners are trying to sell the club.
do you think that's
That's the
what'll happen?
narrative. No, that's the narrative.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. But do you agree with the narrative? Do you think that's what'll happen, or do you think we'll be signing people like Hendrick for 2 years' time, like Real Madrid have already done? I mean, Celtic have already signed 2 players.
Yeah, they signed a right back, which I think possibly hints at what's his
Juranovic
name?
going,
Yeah,
yeah.
Juranovic going.
Well, he's been Postecoglou's been talking up him ready for a move, so that suggests he's expecting him to go the way he's talked about him.
I think we might actually end up getting him as well.
Yeah, yeah. Seems a shame for Dallo, who's finally starting to look like the player you thought you were buying in the first place, but you need 2, I suppose. Where do you think Ronaldo will end up? Because it's got to be a January move for him, hasn't it?
Well, he's training with the no, he's not training with. He's training at Real Madrid's camp.
Yeah, you can't see him signing for them. I mean, they've signed that Hendrick who's 16 for 2024, which I said to you, I don't think that should be allowed. I don't think players should be. If you're not allowed to sign, I don't like this. I mean, I know Liverpool used it to get Keita, which is probably part of the reason why I don't like it. Signed them a year ahead, but I don't think you should be able to sign them a year ahead. I don't think you should, but I don't like the loan system either, so maybe that's what it is really, because I don't like loaning players out. I think you should buy players for your team, and that's it. They should play for your team. Shouldn't be able to loan them to somebody else. You should develop them yourselves. And stop these big clubs, building up massive squads instead. Let them have just they keep the smaller squads, and then these smaller teams could then end up with these better players in their team and have a better chance of competing, rather than them all being hoarded by the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool and Man City and Man United and that. Sorry, I've completely lost track. So what were we saying? Where do we think CR7 will end up?
You were talking about Hendrik
Yeah, sorry, I got
after actually
distracted.
mentioning him.
So where do you think Ronaldo? Come on, make a prediction. Put your balls on the line, because you finished so well in the World Cup with your predictions.
Real Madrid, maybe as a stopgap from Benzema's injury if it's a serious one.
I thought it was only a short term, just basically keeping him out for the World Cup, and he'll be pretty much back, isn't he?
I don't know what the prognosis is.
Oh right. Oh, I don't know. I might have dreamt that, because you read so many things about injuries, they get so mixed up sometimes. In your head which one's who.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's actually not. But I can't see them taking him back. I really can't.
Maybe it might be if it's a serious enough injury for
Might make
Benzema.
sense. Yeah. Yeah, if it's a bad injury, it makes sense, wouldn't it? For all parties. He gets another crack at the Champions League and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that one. If it's a bad injury, I can see if Benzema's not going to be back. Yeah.
And Real Madrid don't have a proper backup for Benzema anyways.
No, they always seem to, for a long time now, since the day when they had Higuain and Benzema, they don't seem to ever have a strength in depth squad. They seem to only have 11 players, don't they? And then the rest are very much, there's a massive drop off in quality. Yeah. Don't mind I mean, they could move Vinicius central. And they got that other one. Is it Rodrigo Jr.?
Rodrigo. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rodrigo. Rodrigo Goes.
Oh, yes. No, it's Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
Um, trying to think who else they've got.
They've got Asensio, they've got Eden Hazard. They probably still have Mariano Diaz on the books.
Yeah. They might have somebody in the B team who they like, Castilla. I don't know. But I was just thinking, Hazard, he's announced his retirement from international football, didn't he? I mean, that'll be a big loss for Belgium. Who's going to eat all the McDonald's now?
No, that's just gonna make sure that Belgium have more money to spend on other things except
Yeah,
burgers.
yeah, that's true. Because they won't need to pack so much food, will they? They'll have much lighter, carry cases, like.
Well, if we're gonna mention retirements, then Sergio Busquets has also announced his retirement from international football.
Again, another player who shouldn't have been still playing anyway. He's been finished for a long time. He's been half the player he's been. I just don't, sometimes you just wonder about these international managers. Why do they stick with these players? They're clearly well past their best and are offering nothing for the team rather than they just don't seem brave enough anymore. I think it's because they're not like in the old days. It used to be the pinnacle. You know what I mean? It used to be the pinnacle of football. So they do it at the end, towards the end. When they were at their peak usually, or just past their best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, also maybe it's because of the number of games that actually happen in international football.
No, what I mean is because they could be braver because they were at they were um
Yeah, I know what you're
you know what
saying.
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying like
They could go, they could
there's
take a
always an
chance
important
because they
tournament.
had the charisma. You know what I mean? They were at the peak of
The
their career.
courage, yeah, I know,
They
I
were
know.
big. It's like Louis Van Gaal 20 years ago is a different man than Louis Van Gaal now.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And
but
people
what
would
I'm saying
listen
is
to
like
him.
with the tournaments that constantly happen, even in international football. I know you and I don't give a damn about Nations League, but there's one trophy you can say, "Oh, hey, I won this,"
Hmm.
and then next year you would have Euros, and then again you will have either qualifying or again Nations League. Like there's always like as a player you can name like, okay, if I win this trophy, then I'll retire. If I
Yeah,
win that one,
but
like there's too many opportunities to
but that's
for
all.
players to postpone
Mm.
their
Yeah, for
achievements
players to
at the
postpone, but I
retirement.
mean, for a manager, all the more reason to get the younger players blooded and get them experienced. Because you might not win. You might not if you don't fancy your chances of this one. You'll get them in and get them up to speed, ready for the next one. You would think.
Yeah, and especially with Spain and midfielders, come on, they're spoiled for choices.
Yeah,
It's not
well,
like they didn't have many options either.
yeah, and Busquets hasn't looked like a player for a long time. He can barely even run. He could barely run when he was at his peak, to be fair. But now he looks like he's walking in treacle, not even running when you see him moving. He's so immobile, it's scary. And he wasn't. I mean, it's not like he's that good ever at any point that you could understand it anyway.
But he's supposedly, not my opinion, but a vast majority of people will
Yeah,
say that
I
he is the
know.
best defensive midfielder ever.
But he's not even close to Xabi Alonso, just off the top of my head. He's not even in the same class as him. And then you've got people like,
Makalele, for
yeah,
example.
Makaleli. You just out miles better.
You've got like he's not an out and out defensive midfielder, but you've got what's Vieira, for example.
Yeah, there's. Well, I was going to say that I would have Petit ahead of him because he was the defensive midfielder for France and Arsenal. Well, he played centre back usually for France, but at Arsenal he played central midfield and he was the defensive midfielder to allow Patrick Vieira the freedom to get forward.
And he's no Roy Keane either, come on.
Roy Keane, yeah, there's another one. I mean, there's plenty you can pick. Sergio Busquets isn't even in the same class. He was just lucky to be playing behind players like Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi. And Ronaldinho when he first came. No, he didn't come up with Ronaldinho. He was just after
He came
Ronaldinho.
up with Messi, like
Oh,
after
came up
Messi.
with Messi. I mean, that's it's got to be easy, hasn't it, for playing a defensive midfield role for Barcelona at that period. You couldn't ask for much of an easier role because most teams just played to defend against you anyway, didn't they?
No, I think he's a bit like the Ederson thing with Guardiola. Like
Oh yeah, Edison at
he's perfect. Like
yeah, he's
he was
fine
yeah
for the team
he
playing
was
for.
meant for
Yeah.
he was meant for the style of play that his team usually plays. If he played for, let's say, a Man United, would he have been as good? We will never know. But if we to speculate, I would say we both were gonna say not
Yeah.
really.
I wouldn't have taken him for Liverpool either. Not a chance. Yeah. And he certainly, and the fact that he hastened Xabi Alonso's retirement from international football, who's many times better player. Yeah, sorry, don't get me started, Xabi Alonso, because I'll start frothing at the mouth. One of my favourite players ever, and the best defensive midfielder I've ever seen. Because he was also a playmaker from there, but he could defend, unlike Pirlo, who played that position and just stood and watched when the ball was turned over. You know, when the ball was turned over, he was always in place to win it back as well. He's a brilliant player. So what else have we got now? Because we don't know where CR7's going, but you think Real Madrid's a good shout?
It's a possible shout. I think it's a
Yeah, I
possible shout.
can't
I don't
see
think
where else he can play. I can't
probably
see who else can
MLS.
afford him. I think, yeah, you think you're looking at MLS or somewhere like semi-retirement Saudi Arabia, Qatar. And I've got to be honest, I can't see him taking those kind of places. You know, I can't see him going to Qatar or Saudi Arabia or anywhere, to be honest. No matter how much money's on offer, I just don't think it's him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think also like with his brand and all, like America is a very good market for him
Exactly, that's what
from
I
that
mean.
point of view as well. Like, yeah, maybe a club can offer him like enormous amounts of money in
Yeah,
salary and
it's a much better
signing on
fit
and all, but
for the Ronaldo brand.
it's a CR7 brand
Hmm.
that will eventually be the trump card, I think, if it came down between USA and
Yeah,
let's say
I
Saudi
think
Arabia.
if nobody like Real Madrid, you know, obviously if Benzema's out injured and they want a stopgap, but that's possible. But I can't see why they'd want him as the stopgap. I've got to be honest, because I just don't. I think he's past it.
But
Uh,
there aren't many viable options out there for Real Madrid as well. If they actually needed a stopgap, I wouldn't do it, but there aren't many other options. You will if Liverpool actually needed to sign a number 9, you would realize it that there is a dearth of
yeah, there isn't many options
players.
out there.
Yeah,
Well,
there
we've got
are.
one, Darwin
Yeah, you
Nunes.
will either
That's
yeah
why Liverpool
you'll
have to
either
pay
get
so much.
yeah you'll either get like an emerging one. Even Darwin Nunes would come there,
Yeah, exactly.
or you get someone who is getting on a bit. You don't have
And Kunku players like that. I mean, they're not really out and out centre forwards.
strikers.
Akpo,
Yeah, they're strikers.
things like that.
Yeah, Cody Gakpo.
Yeah,
I
they're
love
not.
saying his name, man. I
I've
love saying his
noticed
name.
it. You get all
Cody
excited when we
Gakpo.
mention. That's why I bring him up every time I get a chance. It's a bit like you mentioning Saliba because you know I'll get all excited.
No, but there's a difference. You like Saliba the player. I like Gakpo the name. He could be the worst player to come from Netherlands, and I'd still be like Cody Gakpo.
Yeah, you just. But it's a bit like what's that? Jan Vennegar of Hesseling. Crap player, but what a name! It
Yeah.
was just beautiful. My favourite name though of a footballer ever. There was a player called, I think it was Robert Soul, if I remember correctly. His first name was Robert, but they always used to list his name in the, on the, like when they used to, because this is in the days when you didn't have football all the time. I didn't even have the internet then. So you'd watch it on the TV on the Saturday, and they'd have the scores coming up on what they called the vidi printer, and it just come up with it, and then the name of the scorer, so and so score, say West Brom 1, Chelsea 0, and then it'd come up with the name of the scorer underneath. And for some reason, all the others, it'd just say Hazard scored or whoever. For all the others, but for him, it would always be listed as our soul. And the commentator used to, whoever it was reading it, used to take great delight in saying our soul scored. I'm so childish. Obviously, every time I'd have a fit of giggles, and he used to score so many goals. But he was in the lower leagues. He was someone like League One or League Two. He was down the lower leagues. Oh, I'd be in fits of giggles every single time. Oh man, I used to just pray for. I'd just sit there waiting, please score, please. I know, immature, and everybody listening to it, but I'm just probably thinking, what a dick. But I thought it was hilarious. He's my favourite name ever. It's just brilliant.
Well,
You
and
can't
I was
get
here
better.
thinking like I've discovered Max Power and he's a solid
Oh
name.
yeah, he was on Tranmere for a while.
He
Yeah.
said Wigan.
The other one,
Max
though,
Power.
the other favourite was Stefan Kuntz. He was at Euro '96 for the German team, and the
I
commentators,
know.
the
I know the
commentators
name.
would constantly refer to him as that German Kuntz all the time. They wouldn't say Kuntz, or Stefan Kuntz or anything like. It was always that German Kuntz. It was like it's a deliberate thing. It has to be. Whether it's conscious or unconsciously doing it, they must have been doing it deliberately.
You do realize that he's a manager right now, right?
Yeah, I know. I look out for him. Like,
He's
because you just do with
Turkey.
that name, you have to.
Yeah,
don't
he's
you?
the manager of Turkey national team.
Is it
I'm gutted. I'm gutted they didn't make it to the World Cup. Come on,
Oh,
would have been awesome.
yeah, that'd been brilliant. Oh, could you imagine it? Oh, so yeah, Euro '96. That's all I really remember of Euro '96. I got to be honest. The football was terrible. People rave about it. Football's coming home and all that, and go on about how great it was. Football was bloody awful. Half-empty stadiums, but those moments where they just kept saying that forever in my mind. That's what football's about. Those kind of moments.
And football didn't come home either. Who won
Well, it
96?
did. It went home to Germany. And that's why they now sing "Football's Coming Home" as their theme tune.
I guess Italians also sing it now. Football's coming home.
I don't know. I wonder if they do. I don't think it, because it wasn't quite as big for that. It was
No, but
like Euro
football
'96 was when it
coming
came out.
home, not
I know
home.
that'd suit better. It'd work much better, but no. Unfortunately, I don't think they think like that. So where
Well,
were we?
obviously they wouldn't think like that because sadly for them they didn't qualify.
That's a good point. They were so bad. So bad they beat England in the Euro final, but couldn't even qualify for the World Cup. That's a lot, doesn't it? Right, so where are we up to? What's next? So we've got
Club World Cup. Do we want to talk about it? Maybe
you
we'll
wait for
talk about it
because
later.
it comes up with it comes in relation to UEFA and FIFA winning the right through court to block the European Super League, because the European Super League took them to court to try and get them to release their block so that they could create the European Super League. But UEFA and FIFA run in court and said they can, they've said basically they can block it, and it's not them using their monopoly, but wrongly. But I've got mixed feelings on this. Yeah, I didn't want a European Super League. I don't like the idea, but I'm not sure how much different it is from what FIFA and UEFA are doing anyway. They've expanded the Champions League and that, and they've pulled in another tournament as well, haven't they? The Conference League. FIFA are now trying to want 32 teams in the Club World Cup. What is the difference between I mean, FIFA have even backed the African Super League. So what is the difference? Why is that okay, but not a European Super League? I think it's
Because
simply because they didn't control the money in the European Super League. It was the clubs in charge. That's how I see it, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being unfair on UEFA and FIFA because we know full well that they're such a lovely organisations with who don't think about money at all.
there's
There's
so
no
much. There's
corruption.
so much saints, so much people who just saints involved there. Like
Yeah, I mean,
you
obviously
can't
their
you can't
first
make
thought is
any
always what's
allegations. Come
best
on.
about football,
Yeah.
especially Infantino. I mean, just like Sepp Blatter before him, he's a footballing legend, isn't he? Done so
Yeah.
much for
Maybe
football.
when the African Super League was happening, Infantino was not feeling African, so he
Or
didn't
maybe he
care.
was feeling African and that's why it was allowed, whereas he was still feeling African when they were coming up with the European Super League and that's why he didn't want it. I mean, what was that is the most bizarre conference press statement to make I've ever seen. That made Eric Cantona's Seagulls following the trawler thing make perfect sense in comparison.
I think. Do you think like because there are no games in the World Cup today? Do you think Infantino is feeling Nepalese?
Yeah,
Because
or Scottish. Yeah, he said that it's just he's certainly something, isn't he, that man? Fucking hell. I know, it's just I can't get over it. I mean, what was that all about? Ah, madness, that one. But yeah, so what's the difference between UEFA and what UEFA and FIFA are doing and the European Super League? Neither seem very football friendly, and certainly don't seem to be for the benefit of the fans.
it's just like how can we make more money?
Yeah,
That's the only way both FIFA and UEFA operate.
yeah.
It's not like how can we make football better. It's about how do we make more money next time? How do we make more money right now? That's the only thing. But what you have to understand is it just short-term gain for long-term harm, or is it a good idea in the long run as well?
See, for me, I think they're making them. They should be. If they want to build for the future, the only way to do it is they've got to start looking at esports and integrating them alongside it. Because FIFA's the game is what's exploded, is what has brought so many Americans into football. That's why it exploded in America in such a way, not because of football itself, but because of the video game FIFA. For some reason, it's huge in America, and it's brought in loads of people into fans into football. That's what the MLS has got built on the back of. Really, that's what's made it a viable option. Is because of the success of the game. People are like, oh well, what's the real sport like? And then they get intrigued by it and they go along and get involved in it and fall in love with that as well. And so for me, I think instead of working on making these tournaments bigger, keep them as they are. They work. They were fine as they were. What you need to do is start integrating the esports alongside, and that's where the money, the next steps in revenue can come from, without having to mess with the actual football itself. Certainly, I think clubs are missing out. Man United and Liverpool in particular. They're miles behind. I suppose you play FIFA, don't you? So you must know what I mean.
No, no,
Oh, you did.
not really, not
You
really.
used to. I used to always see your Discord. You were playing
There's a
against me.
difference. There's a difference about me playing some football, some FIFA casually, and
Yeah, well, I'm not
actual.
saying you do, but what I mean is you play. So you can see what I mean. That there's definitely a market there to
No, but
increase the.
but there was a time where I could like genuinely spend the whole night playing FIFA.
Hmm.
So I can somehow somewhat correlate.
It's the biggest growing market and around apparently. It's it's a massive in sports. It's the one. It's the fastest growing sporting area around. It's massive esports, and it's gonna be. Football clubs need to get on it. A lot of the Germans have got esports teams alongside. See that people are saying there's not much revenue to come like Liverpool and all that. As say, they're suggesting that's why the sales are coming up. But neither Liverpool or Manchester United have tapped into esports at all, really. And also, you look at like Barcelona and Real Madrid, their success isn't just the Barcelona and Real Madrid football team. They also have basketball teams and handball or whatever, and other other sports that are popular in Spain. They have teams in each of them sports competing in the league to enhance the name of the club. They make it more than they make themselves all encompassing. And that's what the English clubs don't do. They're simply football clubs. It reminds me of when Liverpool were taken over in the first place by Gillette and Hicks. And they walked in and they were just a football club, and the marketing thing was just a room above a pub with two people in it. And they did all the ticket sales and everything there, as well as the the merchandising and all that.
There's so much scope for growth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to actually be the football only that you grow it. When you're a team, you can put that team name into any sport you want. So you just have to pick the popular ones that make that people follow and get your team name in there. It doesn't matter, it's not really about earning a huge amount of money from them as much as putting your name and making it win. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, let's say
Like they did with the Super League, Women's Super League. They weren't doing
yeah,
it
yeah,
for money.
or you can let's say uh, the next Liverpool or Man United owners are the ones that own Mumbai Indians in IPL.
Yeah,
You make the connection, you just connect another big fan base to a team there. Like if you're a Liverpool supporter and you have some sort of fiddling interest in cricket, you will probably relate and support the team that's owned by the same owners, and vice versa.
yeah, but I mean, that Manchester City have done it with all the Melbourne City and all that around the world. But I mean, it's not quite the same as having another Manchester City competing at, say, if you like basketball, as you're going along and watching a basketball team, you're a Manchester City fan, and there's Manchester City team in the basketball. That's a whole different. That's a bigger thing, isn't it? If you see what I mean, because it's your team again. You know.
Yeah, like England have a cricket tournament as well. Let's say if Liverpool are represented in football and cricket by the same
Yeah, so you do say there's a
more,
T20
then
tournament,
yeah,
and you create a Liverpool T20 team.
yeah, exactly.
There is T20,
It
isn't it?
should be
That's one of
possible.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's the 100 as well in England.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? You just put these instead of whatever the popular sports are. I mean, it's possible to grow clubs in many ways. So I don't think they're thinking like that. They're thinking purely about football, and I can understand it because it's a safer way to operate. But diversification is supposed to be what you do to in business, isn't it? So, right. So what else have we got to talk about? I think there's only one more thing, isn't there? The Cameroon Federation.
Yeah, I think that's the only one remaining on the agenda.
Yeah,
Cameroon Federation being sued by French investigative journalist. She's a journalist.
Gino.
Yeah, Romain Molina. Cameroon football, they're filled with all these allegations, revelations.
Yeah, well, he's
So many problems
yeah, well,
with the
he's
Cameroon
this
football.
Romain Molina has already outed that he's gone public. It's not just him as well. It's like pretty much every news organisation has come out with this story that players are paying to get international call-ups for Cameroon, paying Peckerfoot to get Samuel Eto'o as the president. They're
By
paying
the way,
to
did
get
you
them to
talk
do
about
that.
Samuel Eto'o? Like
What his attack
that?
on? Did we do
Yeah,
that? Was
attack.
that last time, or did we not?
Yeah, but we didn't do one last week, so I'm not sure.
I can't remember whether we did it last time or not. We'll talk about that as well. Yeah, while we're on it. It's a different. That's another one, isn't it? Yeah, it's another allegation against him. So yeah, but anyway, basically this guy Roman Molina, he investigates sexual abuse around Africa in football. He's revealed a number of cases so far, that's around there, and he's been in touch. He was in touch with Samuel Eto'o because he's working on one in Cameroon Academy. There's paedophiles in this Cameroon Academy. There's a problem. There's been a long-standing problem with paedophilia at this big, well-known Cameroon Academy. He got in touch with him about it. He's told him, he's writing a story on it. So he's given him the heads up, basically. But the next thing, Eto'o's claimed, and Fecker put out a statement claiming that this Roman Molina has tried to extort money out of Eto'o with it. But what their statement says is a man naming himself as Romain Molina, but they didn't say it was somebody pretending to be Romain Molina, which they know it was. There's no question about it. The guy could barely, the messages were in barely legible French. Romain Molina's French. Yeah, and there's all sorts of other inconsistencies. The number's totally different. Obviously, Eto'o's got his number. All sorts of other. Why would he? And it's $25,000 they've asked for. Why would he ask for $25,000 when a story like this is his career, which is worth? He'll get a lot more than $25,000 from one story anyway. Why would he ask for $25,000 to shut it up? Makes no sense. I mean, there's lots of things. Anyway, they've basically gone and said he's trying to extort money out of Eto'o who isn't going to pay him, basically. And he's turned around and said, I haven't done any such thing. And then he said, this is, his lawyers come out and said, basically, this is a long-standing problem. He's faced threats and abuse for years because of all the stories he writes, which are not well liked and well received, obviously, because they show people in a bad light. Saying, but this is the first time a national federation has come out and besmirched his name, and it clearly is, because if you read the statement, they have literally put his name out there and saying he's extorting money from him, but they haven't put anywhere saying that it's clearly not him. Somebody just claiming to be him. But they've not made it clear, if you see what I mean, that it's not him. It's a very nasty attempt to basically to make him back off or to smear his name so that nobody takes any notice of anything he writes. Makes you wonder they know. It makes you think they know all about this problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, probably trying to kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, because I mean he's come out. I mean obviously he's come out with this story about the paying players. He's tweeted it and stuff. So as have Le Monde and a few other publications. Like I said, it's not just him, but they're obviously trying to basically kill the story, aren't they? Just seems a nasty. Yeah, very distasteful. That's Feckerfoot at the moment. Though there's a lot of problems with them, as we know. There's been ongoing problems with them, and Eto'o doesn't seem to be doing anything about changing things.
Yeah, like it's just like this. Everywhere you look with the Cameroon Association, there's this controversy, there's this trouble.
Yeah, I mean the attack on the Algerian. So I don't know if we did mention this, so just in case I'll recap it quickly. An Algerian, he's a YouTuber. He does it's not really investigative journalism. He's just a YouTuber who YouTubes about makes videos about certain things, mostly football related, I believe. And he's doing one about. Basically, there's a lot of accusations. The referee who refereed Algeria versus Cameroon was terrible, absolutely abysmal. Has been game after game after game in recent years. He's been, every game you watch him, he's you just look at it and you think, that referee's a bit dodgy. You know what I mean? It's not. He's not one of those where you just think he's terrible. He's one of those where you look at it and he's very biased. You know what I mean? Every decision seems to go one way. Everything. You know what I mean? It's like watching a referee. It's like watching that Atwell at Man City, or the other guy at Man City, or the other, in fact, any of the English referees when they're refereeing Man City, really. You always think they're very biased towards Man City, but he's worse. He has been. I mean, there's been complaint. Algerian Federation have made a formal complaint, but he refereed, in the African Champions League, and there's a number of games where teams have made complaints about him. There's constant complaints about him. There's a whole list of basically teams complaining about this referee, saying he's either the worst referee in existence or he's a cheat. You know what I mean? There's loads of them saying it. There's a whole string of complaints, but he's been nominated to go in the World Cup he's the one of the African representatives, and he did referee at the World Cup. And obviously, as we know, everybody's been complaining about the refereeing and how poor the standard is. So yeah, he certainly lived up to his billing in that respect. But anyway, this Algerian guy asked him, how does this guy, did you pay him? Basically, is what he said to him. And Etu's just lost the plot. His bodyguards or whoever it is with him, his entourage, whoever it is, basically shoved this guy, tried to take his camera off, took his, because he's filming it with this camera setup he's got, he's filming it. They've tried to grab it off him, thrown him to the ground, and the camera's fallen on the floor in front of him. So he's kind of on all fours over it, isn't he, at the time? And he's trying to get up with the camera, and at that point, Etu just flies into him with a knee to the side of the head. Smashes him with the knee to the side of the head at this point, and then is pulled away quickly by a group of others. And obviously this guy's gone and made a police complaint, but Etu's not going to get in any trouble in Qatar. For starters, not only is he he played in Qatar for a while, and the Qataris will back their own, but secondly, he's an ambassador for the Qatari World Cup, so they're certainly not going to. The Qataris aren't going to do anything about him, are they? But he came out. Did you read the mumbo jumbo he came out with as his excuse? Did you actually read his excuse for what happened?
Oh, I didn't see the point.
Oh, he said. Not only did he say that he's getting hounded by Algerians constantly about.
Oh yes.
But the other one, he said there's Algerians in Qatar. Lots of Algerians in Qatar apparently bullying the Cameroon fans, and you're thinking, hang on, Cameroon are the only ones pretty much with with big numbers there almost. I think it's Argentina's the other one. How many Algerians are going to travel there just so they can cause trouble? Do you really think that's believable that they're bullying the Cameroonian fans while they're there, and he was scared, and he's just upset about this and all that? I mean, it's the most bizarre excuse I've ever seen.
But even then, that's not a good enough justification.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't really an apology, was it? It wasn't like him saying, you know what, I just lost my temper. It was stupid. I was in the wrong. That's all he had to say. No, I shouldn't have done it. He called me at a bad time. We've had a poor performance in we'd lost recently, and he just caught me at a bad time, or something like that. It was just, the whole thing was like, and it was vicious as well.
It just wasn't an accidental thing. It's like, you could see that was what he was trying to do.
Oh yeah, that was deliberate with force. I mean, he went for him. And he'd been trying for a while, but they were holding him back.
It just shows that nothing untoward had happened, and he's making false accusations and all that, right?
whole thing is
If
bizarre.
if you if you just read that someone asked him this question, you think, hang on a minute, what's with this? But if you see the way he reacts, you're just gonna
Yeah,
say, like, there must be some truth in it.
yeah, the whole
Otherwise, why
thing.
react like that?
Yeah, the whole thing. Up until his reaction, you just think, oh, the Algerians moaning
You
about.
just think like it's the
You see
fans,
all the
like that
complaints
is what
about the
you do.
referee, and you think, he just seem a bit dodgy. You look at his performance, because I've had a look at showing, the decisions they're contesting. Because you have, there is I've seen it somewhere. I'll have to see if I can find you the link to have a look at and send you it. There's somebody's put up like a YouTube compilation of this referee and his decisions. You just look at it and go, if he isn't a cheat, then he shouldn't be refereeing at any level of the game. He's got worse eyesight than me with my eyes shut, and I've never seen anything like it. You're just looking at the decisions thinking, I don't even know how he's. It's just one of those where you think he can't possibly believe that's the right decision. But you just think he's an awful referee. Maybe he's just not trained well, or he panics under pressure, whatever. He's because one team's a big club and the other one's not. Maybe he's just under pressure and all that, like, so he's panicking and making the wrong decision. All these kind of things until Etu reacts like that, and then you think, hmm. Yeah, it's just. You know what? You can take Everton out the man, but you can't take the man. I say you take the man out of Everton, but you can't take Everton out the man, unfortunately. And ex-Everton player. It's what you expect, really, isn't it?
So, anyways, for the people who are wondering why this sudden silence,
Yeah, we're about to hold a minute's silence for Sinisa Mikhailovic because he's just passed away. Sadly, we're not about to hold a minute's silence. I mean, we're just like trying to think how to address it, and I'm still
yeah,
not sure.
maybe we should actually end with a minute's silence
Hmm.
in memory of one of the best free kick takers, at least.
And if anybody's listening, if you want to see what free kick taking looks like in an art form, possibly the only player I can think of that could even come close to him is Juninho Pernambucano.
Yeah, the Middlesbrough. Was it Middlesbrough?
No, not Middlesbrough. He was
No.
Leon.
Leon.
Yeah, Middlesbrough one was Juninho. Oh, Paulista. No, Pernambucano was the one that played in France, and he was just his free kicks were art. Not
Yeah, but
Beckham and the
you,
likes, nowhere near the same level as him. But
if people
Mikhailovic,
search with Mihailovic with his free kicks, you don't have to look at the ones when he had as a player. But
yeah, even the
even
ones.
with even as a coach with that board, no, even a bigger belly,
Hmm.
he is like just amazingly accurate. Just doesn't have to place the ball wherever it is. Just take 2 steps, hit
Was
it
it?
in the top
I
corner.
can't remember
Amazing.
which team it was he played for, but they were literally picking him at one point when he was past his best. You know what I mean? When he was wasn't really performing in the team, but they wouldn't drop him because they might get a free kick. That was literally what he was in the team for. He was that good with a dead ball, and I think you're right. I think we should end with a minute's silence because there's not often you can say that he's probably you've seen the end of probably the best proponent of an art form ever, and I think we have tonight in Mikhailovic. I don't think there's ever been a better free kick taker anyway that I know of. So, so yeah, do you want to?
So we'll
Yeah.
see you guys next Thursday, hopefully. And we're gonna leave you guys with a minute silence in memory of Sinisa Mihailovic.
See you next Thursday.